D. Mace, Fingan, and Donick 1025, The Game. Broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and David Janes here with you. Willie Donick will join us shortly. He's stuck taking his glamour shots.
Ching, ching.
Such a diva.
Ahead of the Nashville Predators season. Today is the opening of training camp. The Predators are on the ice for the first time tomorrow. But today is the day where all of the players and the broadcasters, they take their glamour shots and stuff for the scoreboard. So Willie is late because he's so vain.
Yeah, that's Willie.
That's Willie
D. No.
If there is one word I could use to describe Willie Donick, it is vain.
No, that's not Willie. That's Willie D.
Yes, Willie D. That's not Willie. That's Willie D.
That is correct.
Yes.
Commissioner Willie D.
You know what? I'm listening to our opener, and I just realized that it's a great opener. But when after they, say my name,
yes,
then they say, then the break is, the fans won't like that. I'm like, we may need to change that.
That just occurred to you?
I just sat here and thought about it. Like what? Like we may need to change the wording a little bit.
Okay.
Just change the wording a little bit. That's all. Because the fans will like us. The fans do like us. They love us. Those that listen to the station. They love us.
That is true. And we don't want to confuse anybody. We don't want y'all to think that Derek is saying that you don't like us.
Exactly.
What would be the point of that?
Absolutely. Y'all love us.
Take it up with the big guy.
Yeah, y'all love us. And then also, I've been listening to this song, and this song has gotten in my spirit. Actually, it's a daughter of a guy that I play with, Mike Jones.
Okay.
Coco Jones and Justin Timberlake, ICU. This song has gotten so much in my soul that I hear it now as we're talking. It's a really good song, really good song. So I just want to throw that out there. Coco Jones, Mike Jones, or dad, parents. I think they still live. Mike still lives here.
What's the name of the song?
ICU.
Okay.
ICU. It's a remix with Justin Timberlake. It's a pretty good song.
Okay.
Pretty good song.
You know what song I heard today that warms my soul? Opposites Attract. Paula Abdul featuring MC Scat Cat. What a fantastic song.
You're talking about what was that? The 90s? Was that late 90s?
Sirius XM said it came out in 1990.
Yeah. Well, it's early 90s.
Wasn't even born.
I was heading to high school.
My son
90,
was ready.
I was in high school.
My son was ready to go into school. I said, wait a minute, Arlo. we can't go until we hear MC Scat Cat's bridge.
We need to jam out for a minute.
Right.
Okay. Ain't nothing wrong with that, jamming out with your son for a minute.
If he saw the video and saw that MC Scat Cat is literally a cartoon cat, he might like the song.
Yes.
So
the kids used to the good music, man. Get the kids used to the good music.
That is true. If I do say so myself, I think we have an outstanding show plan for all of you today. Coming up in the next segment, as Derek Mason spills his,
I didn't spill anything. I just
5 apples.
I got apples, and I got Kit Kats, but I had
what
to
the
put
hell, Derek?
No. Here, you got to understand, because it's hot. Thank you, David. My glasses. Because it's hot outside, and I went and got my buddies, my crew, food today. So I knew I was going to be in the car for a while waiting on the food. So I packed my Kit Kats and I put like a cold pack in there, so it will not melt while I was sitting in the car, because it was hot in the car. So I just think
I
a little
need to
thing.
keep a log of the food that Derek Mason brings into the show every day, because the amount of food he brings in, it's like he's prepared for the apocalypse. Straight out of a fallout shelter.
Hey, man, you got to have all your bases covered when you come to work, man, and eat. You got to have them all covered.
I mean, we're only on the air for 3 hours. How many apples does one man need in 3 hours?
You never know, man.
Okay.
Anything can happen.
At least we've seen 5.
There could be a blizzard. It could be 20 feet of snow. We got to be stuck in here for a day. I got some food. I got us covered.
Anyway, ESPN NFL analyst Dan Orlovsky will join us in roughly 15 minutes. We're looking forward to talking to Orlovsky about Cam Ward and the Tennessee Titans. I have a lot of respect for Dan Orlovsky as an analyst, so looking forward to getting into the weeds with him on Cam Ward and the Tennessee Titans. Jonathan Hutton from Hot Mike with Hutton and Withrow will join us at 5 o'clock. And then, of course, week 4 of Silly Underdog Picks coming up at 5:20, and we will let you know closer to that time what the prize is if you are chosen to represent the people. It's a good prize. So be listening in the third hour for that. But Derek Mason, I'll let you dictate where we go with this first segment. Do you want a serious update or do you want a silly update?
Hit me with the serious. I'm in a serious mood right now.
I didn't get that vibe.
I'm in a serious mood right now.
So the Tennessee
serious meaning get to business.
All right. The serious update. The Tennessee Titans practiced today. Practice is now over. And there was no sign of the following players at Tennessee Titans practice today. J.C. Latham, of course, still dealing with a hip injury that kept him out of the game on Sunday against the Rams. Devondre Sweat, who also did not play on Sunday. Bryce Oliver, Kevin Zeitler, and L'Jarius Sneed. And here's what I find interesting. I saw this update in a couple of places. No sign of L'Jarius Sneed, in parentheses, back, not knee. So now L'Jarius Sneed has a back injury in addition to a knee injury?
Oh, okay.
Where did that come from?
I tell you where it came from. He hasn't been doing anything. And when I say he hasn't been doing anything, like these first 2 weeks has been his first opportunity to get some action. He didn't play all preseason, barely practiced, did some stuff on the side, but it wasn't until right before the season where he started to sort of get into, or they tried to slowly bring him into playing shape. You saw what happened the first game. He only played half of the game. He comes back, you play a full game. His body is still not in condition. That's why I believe the back is hurting now. Not only do you have a knee, but you also got a sore back potentially because of, you getting out there in the wear and tear after the second game. So I would tend to believe he's going to play. They didn't say anything about his back Sunday after the game.
This is the first I'm seeing that L'Jarius Sneed is dealing with a back injury.
Yeah, so I just think it's probably more than likely just tightness.
Okay.
And they just want to, sit him down for a day because, it coincides probably more than likely with his rest he would get for the knee anyway. So you rest him for his back and, you kind of move on from there.
Devondre Sweat addressed reporters after practice, and he sounded optimistic that he will be available for the Titans game against the Indianapolis Colts on Sunday. He did not play with an ankle injury against the LA Rams, but Sweat said after practice today, he is hopeful he can play on Sunday. As for J.C. Latham, the Titans will monitor his hip injury throughout the week. Brian Callahan mentioned that if Latham can't go, you might see John Ojukwu back out there. You might see Ali Udo, a.k.a. Ali Uh-Oh, a.k.a. Ali Ono, a.k.a. Ali Rutro out there. It's get well soon, JC. Let me just say that. The less I have to see of John Ojukwu or Ali Udo, the better. But the Titans will monitor Latham throughout the week. He's dealing with the hip injury. He did not practice today. But, God, the idea of another game featuring John Ojukwu in a starting role, I don't like the sound of that. Although the Colts do not have the type of pass rushers that the Broncos have and the Rams have, we saw what happens when you put those replacement right tackles on the field. It does not go well for the Titans.
No, it doesn't. It hasn't. And unless there's a change of fortune, I can't expect to see, anything better than what they've showed the last couple of games. This JC thing, they're going to have to really monitor because you don't want, if it's a hip injury, you don't want to rush him back to potentially lose him because he was in that first game, he was noticeably limping. You can tell that something was wrong with him. I don't know if it happened during the game, before, whatever, but he's dealing with the hip and it's severe enough that it kept him out of the last game. If I'm the Titans, I'm not putting him back in there unless he's 100%. I'm not, because him at 80%, yeah, he's better than the other guys, but he's still hurting himself out there, and he's not the best version of himself that he can be. So until he's close, at least 100% or close to it, why even throw him out there? But they're going to miss him if he's not there, because what we saw last week was indicative of what we had been seeing, all last year at that position. The right tackle just couldn't hold up.
So we will keep an eye on all of that as the week progresses, as the Titans are prepared they are getting prepared, I should say, to play the Indianapolis Colts on Sunday. All right, time for the silly update. Now that we've gotten the serious update.
It ain't about Bill Belichick, is it?
It is not about Bill Belichick. I haven't seen him do anything worth mentioning lately, but that could change in an instant. The silly update. So, as you may have heard, Diego Pavia and Theo Vaughn, who is a prominent podcaster, I guess made some sort of deal that if Pavia helped the Commodores defeat South Carolina, that Pavia would set up Theo Vaughn with Diego's mother on a date. Well, Diego Pavia held up his end of the bargain because Vanderbilt crushed South Carolina 31-7 on Saturday in Columbia. Then Pavia followed up and said, what Theo Vaughn forgot to tell you is that I said I would do it if he could set me up with Tate McRae, who is a world-famous pop star. So, yesterday, Theo Vaughn posted a screenshot of DMs he sent to Tate McRae, who, by the way, has 7.9 million followers on Instagram. And Theo Vaughn wrote, quote, hey, Tate, my friend said I can take his mom on a date, but only if he's able to take you on a date. Here is a pic of him with a screenshot of Pavia from an interview he did on ESPN. If you don't want to go on a date with him, I can also take you on a date.
So he's trying to get Pavia a date all while shooting his shot.
Correct.
I mean,
you got to admire it.
You do. And listen, she has how many followers?
7.9 million followers on Instagram.
When do you think she gets back to him? If she gets back to him at all?
Never.
Next September.
Well, if Vandy keep on winning, they'll get back. They will get back to him.
Tate McRae, I can only imagine what her DMs are like.
That's what I'm saying.
It's probably a cesspool of thirsty men looking to date her. And I'm sure there are people more famous than Theo Vaughn, and Theo Vaughn is famous. But I'm sure there are people more famous than Theo Vaughn sliding into those DMs. So I'm sure she's not surprised by it.
It ain't about how famous. Look at Travis Kelce. I mean, look at Kelce and
Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift. Kelce is not as Kelce is known.
Yes.
But compared to
his fame pales in comparison.
Exactly.
To his fiancé.
So it can happen. It can happen.
It can happen.
I'm just trying to give him some hope.
Diego Pavia, I am rooting for you. I am rooting for you that Tate McRae will let you take her on a date so that Theo Vaughn can bag your mom. Good luck.
I don't know if I would have made that bet. Why would I even made that bet? Like, why am I, I'm not going to even say what you're doing. But why would I do that? I'm going to win the game, and I ain't going to put my mom on the block, okay? I'm not doing that.
You're not putting your mama out?
No, I'm not. Like,
so
I'm not doing that.
Tell me if they do this in football. In hockey, there is a tradition called money on the board. And usually it happens when a player goes back to play his former team. And that player will put money on the board. And if the team wins or the player accomplishes a certain goal, he'll pay out. So do you think Diego Pavia walked into Vanderbilt's locker room at South Carolina on Saturday and just wrote my mom on the board or something like that? That motivated everybody. Eli Stowers said, hey man, I'll do it for your mom.
It could have went that way. But no, I'm like, dude, I'm doing it because I'm Diego. That's why we gonna win. I bet you a brewski or something. I don't know, but I ain't gonna put my mom on the block, man. I'm just not doing it.
Well, he did.
But I love Diego, and I know it's all funny games.
So stay tuned for the important updates on whether Diego Pavia will score a date with Tate McRae, and by extension,
hope he does.
Theo Vaughn will score a date with Diego Pavia's mom.
I hope he does.
Very important information. 615-737-1025. Our phone and text lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We'll get back to Sirius in just a few moments when Dan Orlovsky, ESPN NFL analyst, will join us on the program. We will get into the weeds with Orlovsky on Cam Ward and the Tennessee Titans. That is coming up next. 615-737-1025. Hey, this Friday, you can join us, Willie, Derek, and I, as we broadcast live from 3 to 6 p.m. at Jimmy Kelly Steakhouse as they celebrate the opening of their all-new rooftop dining area and bar. It's also a great place to go before the big Vanderbilt game this Saturday night.
Hey, this is Derek Mason. You heard me tell you about Dr. Lodge and his staff over at Cool Springs MD for some time. If you set out to lose weight, chances are it's not your first time setting a goal to shed some extra pounds, only to come up short or face disappointment. But at Cool Springs MD, Dr. Lodge and his team understands the frustration of this cycle, and that is why they offer a different approach to weight loss. Their comprehensive weight loss program is led by Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and addresses the root cause of weight gain with tailored nutrition, exercise, blood test supplements, and more. And they will customize just for you a program specific to you and you only. So connect with Dr. Lodge at CoolSpringsMD.com today to schedule your appointment for a personalized weight loss plan just for you. That's Cool Springs MD, where your weight loss journey becomes a success story.
D. Mace, Vingan, and Donick 1025, The Game. Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. We are endeavoring Dan Orlovsky, ESPN NFL analyst. Thank you. I believe that is the proper usage of the word endeavoring. And if I'm mistaken, well,
can't take the ding back.
Endeavoring means try hard to do or achieve something, which is what David James is doing right now. So
absolutely.
that works. So we will be joined by Dan Orlovsky as soon as he answers his phone on our conversation about Diego Pavia and Theo Vaughn. Ricky on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, says, so Vanderbilt's new slogan, come here, be a doctor, a lawyer, or a pimp. Gotta love it, as long as they're winning football. I guess it's a new curriculum for the school.
Man. Hey, listen, it's all gravy when you're winning. So just keep winning, Diego. That's all. Keep winning.
One texter asks if Theo Vaughn is normally at the Vandy games. I do not know the answer to that. He must be, because he has a relationship with Diego Pavia.
Is his podcast here?
I don't know where he's based. I'm not a Theo Vaughn fan. Nothing against Theo Vaughn. He's just not my cup of tea.
I don't even know again, I don't know who he is, but that doesn't mean that he's not somebody just because I don't know who he is. But I've never heard of him. Should I have? I don't know. Maybe.
Josh says, oh, it's already set up with a specific person. That dude better have some money. You don't put your mama on the block for some broke jokes, LOL.
Now I got everybody. Stop it, people. Stop it. I'm not putting it. I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have said Diego. I can't put my mom on him. No, but we love Diego, don't we?
Yes, we do.
Diego.
We do.
Wonderful
representative of our fair city.
Yes, but as we effort Orlowski, Big Joe asked me a question coming in. And it was an interesting question. It was a simple question, but it was an interesting question. He said, either he or Chase has. I think it was Chase, yes. How much, adjusting do coaches do at halftime? And one would tend to believe okay, because the coach always said we got to go in, we got to make adjustments, and we got to come back out and play for the better football. And I think when people hear that, they hear, oh, he's going to change a bunch of plays. He's going to call some new ones. He's not going to call the ones that he called, in the first half. Well, a little bit of that is true, just a tad bit. The tad bit that's true is, he will call some different plays, but that's the plays he haven't gotten to. Some plays that he had already game planned for throughout the game, but they just hadn't gotten to him for whatever reason. Whether it was because, they just couldn't generate anything, as the Titans have been, going 3 and outs, turnovers, getting pushed back 3rd and long. So, that part is true. That, yes, we're going to try to run some plays we haven't ran, but it's not like new plays we're just throwing in the playbook. These are plays that we ran in practice this week, and we know we can run them the way we need to. Now we need to do it in the second half because they've shown us some things on defense that may expose them. But also, we're still running some of the same plays, but it may be out of a different formation, maybe out of different personnel, but they're all running. It's not like they're changing plays. When you talk about adjustment, you're adjusting some of the formations. You may not be as predictable, this formation out of this motion, we ran boot right and we threw the crosser. Now we may do the same motion and hand it to the running back and let the running back go, but it all looks like a boot. Those are adjustments that I know of. But when fans hear it, it's like, oh, they're running a whole new game plan. No, they're not running a whole new game plan. They may be running some new plays they didn't get to in the first half, but they're not running anything that's not in the playbook already that they put together.
I stumbled across an article on SportsIllustrated.com earlier today, written by Connor Orr, with the headline, NFL Panic Meter, ranking every 0-2 team based on desperation. 10 teams are still winless after week 2. Which teams will right the ship and which fan bases should actually be worried? And Derek, before I scroll down to read this story, I expected the Tennessee Titans to be near the bottom of this list because they were the worst team in the NFL last season. Most people expected the Titans to be 0-2 when the season started. So I thought, I would find the Titans near the bottom of this list.
Mm-hmm.
So I was sort of surprised to find the Titans near the top of this list. Connor Orr gave the Titans panic score 8.5, which I found to be interesting. And here is some of what Connor Orr wrote, and I want you to tell me if you agree. Quote, in fairness to myself, drafting a quarterback with the number 1 pick immediately creates an outsized grading scale full of irresponsible projections and a microwaved timeline of success. In the case of Tennessee in particular, this is a franchise building a new stadium it is hoping to fill with devoted season ticket holders in the near future. I am guessing Brian Callahan is very much aware of this. However, Callahan has already publicly whiffed on knowing a rule that could have impacted a critical challenge. Tennessee is also second to last in the NFL in points in the second half, which is often a statistic associated with play callers and their ability to make adjustments. So while panic may be the wrong word here, there is indeed frustration. And when there is frustration as it pertains to the development of the franchise's most important player, whose highlights are very individual at this point and not necessarily tied into the scheme, you can certainly say that there is a right to be concerned about the future. Do you agree with Connor Orr's assessment there?
Oh boy. Yes, I do, in a sense, because he's right. You have to develop this quarterback. And what the quarterback has shown you is, okay, you shouldn't panic because it seems like he is the guy, so we shouldn't panic. But then on the other side, you're looking at the play caller, and the offense isn't flowing the way it needs to flow. Is it play calling? Is it players? Is it a combination of both? Is it him not quite in sync with this quarterback? So that part, to a lot of fans, may be a cause for panic, because they're like, listen, we seen in the first year, it didn't work, and it didn't work with a second-year quarterback, a young second-year quarterback that they had high hopes on. And even though the new quarterback, the first pick in the draft, looks like he's going to be that guy, that other stuff still isn't quite there yet. And I don't know if it's going to be there, meaning his play calling. I think that's how people feel. So you get the, what was it, 8.5?
8.5.
Out of what, 10?
I assume 10.
Yeah, 10. So you get the panic meter high.
By the way, the only team with a higher panic score among winless teams, according to Connor Orr, no surprise here, the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, for their own reason, because Miami has talent, but
yes,
they just, the quarterback situation, everything that's going on. But also, you look at, the roster. Is this a roster that you can, feel good about? I'm not sure that's the case. Now, you got some players on this roster that you like and feel good about, but do you feel good about the roster as a whole with this young quarterback and that young coach? It seems like, from what we are gathering from at least the last 2 weeks, they don't trust the coach. People don't trust the coach. They don't trust the play call. They trust the quarterback. They're good with the quarterback. I think everybody's come on here and said something glowing about the quarterback that is not his fault. They just don't trust the play caller, who is the head coach.
The one line that stuck out to me is, and when there is frustration as it pertains to the development of the franchise's most important player, whose highlights are very individual at this point and not necessarily tied into the scheme. That is the line that stood
and that's
out to me.
why I said yesterday, we love all these off-script plays. They loved that about Caleb Williams last year too, but he didn't develop himself inside the pocket. And now they're trying to do it in Chicago with Ben Johnson. I don't want that to be Cam Ward. I love the exciting plays, him getting outside of the pocket, having the arm strip to throw it across the field for a touchdown, or his roll. I love all that stuff. But if you can't get him comfortable in the pocket, how long is that stuff going to work? And how are you developing your quarterback from that standpoint? Because you develop a quarterback through the pocket, inside of the pocket, out. You work from in to out. They are forced to work from out to in right now, it seems.
The Titans injury report has been released. J.C. Latham, hip, did not practice. Kalel Mullings, ankle, limited. Bryce Oliver, knee, did not practice. L'Jarius Sneed, back, did not practice. T'Vondre Sweat, ankle, limited. Kevin Winston Jr., hamstring, limited. Kevin Zeitler, bicep, did not practice. So add Kevin Zeitler to the list. And I saw a Paul Kaharski report when we were on break that he does not anticipate Sneed's back injury from keeping him out of the lineup Sunday against the Colts. So no practice today for J.C. Latham with a hip, Bryce Oliver with a knee, L'Jarius Sneed with a back injury, and Kevin Zeitler with a bicep injury. T'Vondre Sweat was limited with an ankle injury. So just keep that in mind. Chris from Clarksville on our text line, Derek, says, to Derek's question about adjustments being made at halftime as a coach, honestly, I might tweak an offensive play like Derek said, but most of my adjustments go towards my defense to stop something that we aren't stopping currently.
Yeah, and you see that on defenses, whether, they're disguising their blitzes a little bit different, getting into a different front, stuff like that, But on offense, again, it's not necessarily that you are running anything new that wasn't in the game plan. You just haven't run it yet, and you're trying to find a way to make sure that in the second half you can get to those plays. So how do we get to those plays? Well, we're gonna have to run this play to make it look like this play. We're gonna have to do it out of this formation, and maybe it fools them. It makes them hesitate for just a second, but it's still the same play, but just out of a different formation. Those are the adjustments that you play when he's playing. Okay, the first half they played a lot of cover two. Okay, we didn't really, probably we didn't know that they were going to play that much cover two, but because they're playing us, they're playing that much cover two because they can get to the quarterback with 4 rushers. Well, now this is what we need to do, guys. We need to, convert that either to a go, or we got to convert it to a 7 route. We got to do it, or we can work it, widen the guy out a little bit and run the slant. These are all adjustments that we talk about as little bitty things within, the game plan that we've run already, go extra yard on that route, on that comeback route, because the defense is playing you like this, or take 2 off next time because they're blitzing and we got to hit it quickly and you got to take 2 yards off. So those are the adjustments that teams make from an offensive standpoint, not just a whole revamp of an offense.
I don't recall when Kevin Zeitler suffered his injury on Sunday. Do you?
Mm-hmm. I don't. I just know I looked up and there was hands in the game. So, and I didn't even know when. I didn't realize that Zeitler was out.
Well, if J.C. Latham can't play and Kevin Zeitler can't play, there's your right side of your offensive line, which has come under fire already, missing 2 starters on that side of the ball.
But this is where I believe Brian Callahan earns that trust of his players, his quarterback, and the fan base. We're going to see how well you design a game plan to not get your quarterback hit, knowing that more than likely your right tackle isn't playing, and maybe your right guard isn't playing either. So how are you going to put together this game plan to protect your quarterback? Hell, you got to protect him on the left side, but now you really got to protect him on the right side.
615-737-1025. Our phone and text lines are driven by WilsonCountyHunting.com. We'll take all of your thoughts on the Tennessee Titans. Coming up next, Blake Bedingfield, who writes for PaulKaharski.com and used to work for the Tennessee Titans, suggested something in his review after the game against the Rams that I want all of us to discuss, because I do think some of you may support this idea. But we're going to dig into it coming up next. 615-737-1025. Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game. D. Mace Vingen and Donick 1025 The Game. Derek Mason, Adam Vingen. Willie Donick has joined us.
Hello.
Glad that your glamour shots are done.
Did you give your Zoolander look?
Blue Steel?
Blue Steel?
Well, you know, Hal Gill was on the set, so you know there was some tomfoolery involved.
Hal will add like 20 minutes to the picture taking.
Yeah, and Chris Mason.
So that's 40 minutes.
Yeah. You put that together, that added a little extra time. But we had fun.
Oh, man.
Well, we'll talk to Hal Gill later in the program.
Oh, yeah, a lot of buzz about who he's going to pick today.
As we kick off week 4 of silly underdog picks. Chris Sanders has the first pick. He's already told us that he might be a little late.
Questionable.
Well, if he isn't here for his pick, David's going to make his pick for him. So I'm just letting Chris know that now. We moved this competition for Chris Sanders, and he still can't bother to show up on time.
He needs more pull with his head coach.
Yeah.
Practice must end on Wednesdays for the Big Red at 5:18.
If this was Derek Mason in the same position, he would have that clout.
Oh, I'd tell him I'm out of here.
But not Chris Sanders.
I'm out of here.
Chris Sanders doesn't apparently have that type of pull.
Right? He chooses not to use
at
it.
NBA.
He chooses not to use it. He got pull. He just chooses not to use it.
Okay. Well, we'll talk to Chris Sanders later in the program and Hal Gill as part of Silly Underdog Picks. We got some of our wires crossed with Dan Orlovsky. We are hoping to have him on later in the program, but looking forward to talking to Dan Orlovsky, hopefully in the second hour. But in the meantime, Blake Bedingfield, who worked in the college scouting department for the Tennessee Titans for nearly 2 decades, I believe, including time as the director of college scouting. Blake now writes a weekly scouting column for paulkaharski.com. And I always find these columns incredibly informative. And no, Paul did not pay me to say all of these things. But if Paul wants to pay me for saying all of these things, I'll send him my Venmo information during the break. So we touched on some of the things that Blake Bedingfield, said on his review of the Titans' loss to the Rams. But all the way at the bottom, there was something interesting that I want to read because I think a lot of Titans fans are already here. And I found it interesting that someone like Blake Bedingfield is already suggesting the same thing. Blake writes, quote, "I know the Titans have only played 2 weeks, but this is a rebuilding year. And during those times, you must trade assets while they are healthy and playing at a level that has value. My focus going forward would be to trade players that won't be producers, when Ward hits his prime. That is 2 years away. I trade L'Jarius Sneed, Jeffrey Simmons, and Calvin Ridley. I also look to shop Tyler Lockett, Arden Key, Draymond Jones, Sebastian Joseph Day, and Kevin Zeitler. The trade deadline isn't until November 4th. The good news is that the Titans have young players who can fill in. Rookie Marcus Harris, Darrell Baker, and Jalen Armour Davis for Sneed. Rookie Chimdike and Bryce Oliver for Ridley. Veteran Shai Tuttle and James Lynch, and waiver wire pickup CJ Ravenel for Simmons and Joseph Day. Joseph Day, Key, Jones, and Zeitler are all free agents after the season with very little chance of being back because of age or lack of productions. Xavier Woods would be another trade piece, but I'd wait for rookie Kevin Winston Jr. to get some playing time first," end quote. So Blake Bedingfield is suggesting, after 2 weeks, that the Titans go full-on fire sale before the NFL trade deadline in early November. 2 questions. And not just for Willie and Derek, for all of you at 615-737-1025. Do we agree? Do you agree? And how would we rank the players he mentioned in terms of value?
Well, first off, he listed a lot of players.
Indeed.
When's the last time you saw an NFL team trade more than 2 or 3 guys?
That's true.
I mean, it doesn't happen. So realistically, there's no way they could physically do that. But philosophically, I've been saying that. I was saying that in the summer. I've been saying trade Jeffrey Simmons before. And so I agree with Bedingfield on the principle. So when you ask the question, what's the value? I think that's why you're the GM. You call around and find out what the value is. They desperately need draft capital. And philosophically, like I've said all throughout, you want to ask yourself the question, is X player going to be the part of the next great Titans team. And I think the benchmark is when that stadium opens. I think this year and next year it is a rebuild, and it couldn't be more clear after 2 games that that's where they're at roster-wise. Now, it is tough to trade when you have a limited amount of high-end veterans, if you want to call them that, but high-end relative to your team. I think that was a big stress point during the game on Sunday with L'Jarius Sneed. You guys mentioned now he's got a back issue. Well, they went from a pitch count, hey, let's have a pitch count. Let's ratchet it up slow. Let's take it slow, to he's in there the whole game. And I think what's pulling at them is, hey, we're hanging in this game. He's trying to guard Devontae Adams. We don't have anybody else who can cover Devontae Adams, but you run the risk of exactly what it is. Now, he's got another ailment that might be carried with him going forward here, which could hurt his trade value. And so that's the hard part of saying, well, what do we trade all these guys? How are we going to even keep it within 40 points, right? If they traded every one of those guys, how would you be competitive? What would that do to Cam Ward?
They would be
That's
tanking.
The balance.
Period. End of story. If the Titans did what Blake Bedingfield is suggesting.
Well, they're going to lose anyway.
Right.
They're going to lose anyway. So they're
just going to lose.
They can't tank much more than they're tanking.
A lot
right
worse
now.
than you've been
naturally.
losing.
They're
yes.
naturally. Because guys are going to get hurt, and it's only going to get harder to win. But that's the balance, is you have to protect Cam Ward above all else.
You can't. I understand what Blake is saying, because him, probably like a lot of Titan fans, are like, man, we've seen enough. This team is not going to be good. So how do we get off the exit ramp very quickly to start trying to rebuild now? So I understand that premise. And I'm not saying that, what he's suggesting is wrong. But you got to understand the people he are suggesting needs to be traded or potentially can be traded. Until you find you a third receiver, or better yet, a second receiver, you're not getting rid of Calvin Ridley. One, if you wanted to get out of that contract, you can't get out of it in 26. So, and then, so if you want to get out of it, you can get out of it in 2026, which means nobody else is going to take this cap hit. I don't think any other team is going to take this money that you still owe him, for one. And then I don't think teams are going to be willing to give up what you may be wanting. But even after all of that, even with all that, you don't give up your number one wide receiver when you're trying to develop a young quarterback, especially when you, after 2 games, have not found a 2 or a 3 or a 4. You had a 2 that made some nice catches in Isle manner, and I think he's going to be eventually what they need for this offense. But to me, he's a 2. But he doesn't have enough experience yet for you to say, well, I'm going to get rid of my number 1, and I'm going to elevate you to number 1 right now. It's too early for all that. It's too early. Even after 2 games, I believe it's too early. So some of these guys may end up getting traded, maybe 1 or 2. I can see Lockett being traded, because I think eventually they want to get DK in there doing a little bit more. You saw him with the reverses. They want to get him in there a little bit more. And then I think that not only Lockett, but there's a potential for Jeffrey Simmons there. And he may be the biggest fish that you can sort of get the most from or for.
I think we can all agree, if we are answering my second question, which is how would we rank the players Blake Bedingfield mentioned in terms of values, Jeffrey Simmons is number 1 with the bullet. There is no argument about that. We talked about what the Dallas Cowboys were able to get for Micah Parsons, a couple of first-round picks, a useful defensive tackle. I don't think Jeffrey Simmons would net you the same return, but I am fairly confident, and tell me if you guys think I'm nuts, I'm fairly confident you could find a team to trade you a first-round pick for Jeffrey Simmons.
Depending on who the team is, yeah. And Jeff seems like he's going to have a hell of a season. So, going into week, 8? Somewhere around there?
About halfway through the season.
Halfway through the season. And if he's still playing good football, but the Titans are not winning, he may be able to get, I think he would get, depending on who the team is, they would get a late first round pick for him.
I think I'd be looking for a first and another top 100 pick.
Yeah. But at least they will get at least I think they can get a late first round pick from a team that knows they will be picking late in the first round.
Well, that's the thing is because it's probably going to be a team that's contending and therefore a later first round pick. That's why I want that pick and another pick that's going to be in the top 100. They need swings. And I look at Jeffrey Simmons, who his trade value right now is not going to go any higher than it is as we sit here right now. I don't think. I think you can still get a team to say, yeah, I can see Jeffrey Simmons on my next 2 or 3 teams. But Jeffrey Simmons in the new stadium is going to be a 30-year-old guy who, at best case, is a pretty highly paid Jarrell Casey-esque, a veteran guy on presumably a younger team. I just don't know if that's a fit. So I would definitely explore that. I've been saying that from the start. It's a bold move. I would shop him.
I'm looking at the players Blake Bedingfield mentioned on paulkaharski.com. We just talked about Jeffrey Simmons. How many of these other players do you think could return a top 100 pick? I don't think you're getting a top 100 pick from L'Jarius Sneed.
Maybe a third.
You're okay.
That's why you've got to take care of Sneed, right? That's why you can't push him in the fourth quarter. That's the tough thing. Is on the field, the coaches are like, I need Sneed. I need him. But if you're Mike Borgonzi, I'm saying stay with the pitch count. I need Sneed playing every week, ratcheting up so his trade value can get to where you can get the third round pick back.
And I don't think, Derek, you tell me if I'm wrong here. I don't think you're getting a top 100 pick for Calvin Ridley.
No. No, I can't see somebody giving you a fourth rounder. Again, I'm not going to say, when you say top 100 pick, third round,
the Titans have a stated goal of top acquiring a certain number of top 100 picks over the next few years. I think they can get, depending on how Calvin Ridley is playing. This is all. See, we can do it now and say, well, he will not fetch a first round. And we may be right now. I'm not saying first round pick. I'm saying top 100
top 100
pick.
We may say he will not garner a top 100 pick right now. We may say that. But we get into the season and he's one of the bright spots, then he may, or you may be able to get a top 100 pick in next year's draft because a team is down to wide receivers. Wide receivers seem like they drop like flies now. And you got to have a guy that can go out there and make some big plays. And Calvin Ridley can. He drops too many balls, but he can make big plays for a ball club. So I'm not going to sit here and say that he will not garner a top 100 pick, but right now, maybe not.
615-737-1025. Our phone and text lines are driven by WilsonCountyHunting.com. Blake Bedingfield at PaulKaharski.com suggests that the Titans go full-on fire sale. Trade Jeffrey Simmons. Trade L'Jarius Sneed. Trade Calvin Ridley. Trade Tyler Lockett. Trade Arden Key. And so on and so forth. Do you agree? And which of those players would bring back the most in terms of value? Do you agree with the idea of what basically, Blake did not say this. I'm putting words in his mouth or on his keyboard. It's tanking. That's what this would be. Let us know how you feel. 615-737-1025. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game.
All right, let's talk Loan Pronto. If you are trapped in a high-rate mortgage, watching your hard-earned money vanish every month, at Loan Pronto, they're delivering the lowest mortgage rates in 3 years. Loan Pronto's rate reduction home loan program, I've been telling you about it for a long time now. It's streamlined. It's low cost. You slash your house payments by hundreds of dollars a month, and no appraisal is needed in most cases, and you can skip your next 2 house payments entirely. Owe it to yourself to look into this. Call right now, 615-499-5780, or visit loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. Lock into your new low rate skip the next 2 house payments. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
D. Mace, Vingan, and Donick 1025, The Game, broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and David Janes here with you. A reminder, week 4 of Silly Underdog Picks gets underway at 5:20. As always, we will need one of you to represent the people. At that time, you can call us 615-737-1025. And if you represent the people and you pick correctly, you will win a pair of tickets to see Papa Roach and Rise Against at First Bank Amphitheater on Wednesday, October 1st. So if you want those tickets, be listening in the third hour for the cue to call to represent the people in silly underdog picks. But that is at 5:20. In the meantime, we are discussing a review of the Rams game from Blake Bedingfield, former college scout for the Tennessee Titans. He writes weekly reviews of Titans games for paulkaharski.com. And buried at the bottom of his latest review, he talks about how this is a rebuilding year for the Titans and that the Titans must trade assets while they are healthy and playing at a level that has value. He says, quote, I trade L'Jarius Sneed, Jeffrey Simmons, and Calvin Ridley. I also look to shop Tyler Lockett, Arden Key, Draymond Jones, Sebastian Joseph Day, and Kevin Zeitler. The trade deadline isn't until November. The trade deadline isn't until November 4th. Got tripped over my own tongue there. The good news is that the Titans have young players who can fill in, so on and so forth. So here is the question we have for all of you at 615-737-1025. Blake Bedingfield is basically suggesting that the Titans go full on fire sale. Do you agree with that? And how would you rank the players he mentioned in terms of value? Let's go to Trey, who's been waiting patiently on our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHunting.com. Trey, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Hey guys.
Hey, Trey.
Hey, I would say, really, I would do it right now. If they get up to 8 games and they haven't won a game, I would do it. I would do it this season because right now they have a little bit of value, but their record is what at 20%. After over 2 years, they won about 20% of their games, so their value is at 20%. I would say Jeffrey Simmons, he probably would be a mid third or late fourth, but he really worth a 24 pack. And the other guys, man, Kevin Ridley, he haven't performed well. Tony Pollard, he hasn't performed well. And I just think, just blow the whole thing up, get a new coach, let's reset and do something different. Y'all have a good day. Thank you.
Thanks, Trey. So during the break, I wanted to get a sense of what Calvin Ridley's value could be in a trade, because I don't have as firm of a grip on trade value in the NFL as I do in the NHL. If we're talking about Predators players who are on the trade block, I can tell you confidently what those players are probably worth. But there were 3 recent receiver trades that I pulled up. And I want Willie and Derek to tell me where you would slot Calvin Ridley in this pecking order. DK Metcalf traded from the Seahawks to the Steelers, DK Metcalf netted the Seahawks a 2nd-round pick. George Pickens traded from the Steelers to the Cowboys. He landed the Steelers a 3rd-round pick. Deebo Samuel, being traded from the Niners to the Commanders, landed San Francisco a 5th-round pick. So a 2nd-round pick for Metcalf, a 3rd-round pick for Pickens, and a 5th-round pick for Samuel. Where would you put Ridley in that pecking order?
I would say he would be between Samuel and Pickens. I think
so. A 4th-round pick for Calvin Ridley.
A 4th-round pick for Calvin Ridley, depending on how his season is going. I think he's still, because we look at the first 2 games and we say, well, he's not going to reach that mark that we had for him.
1,100 yards.
But his season started off like this last year, and he still was able to get to that, the over 1,000 yards, close to 1,100 yards, if not 1,100 yards. So I still believe he will get that. His value goes up the more big plays he make. He's one of those guys that he has the ability to make the big play, but he also lacks concentration at times to make the simple catches. And if he continues to make those plays, down the field, then there's going to be a team, again, 8th week of the season, 8th game, 9th week of the season, whatever it is, the trade deadline. There's going to be a team, just like there's going to be a team looking for a defensive tackle. When that time comes around, there's going to be a team looking for a wide receiver. And depending on who that team is, that depends on, and how desperate they are, that depends on how much you can probably get for Calvin Ridley. So it's hard to say, oh, you will definitely get a second round or third round. If you're telling me to pick between those guys, I think he's more of a fourth round pick you would have to give up.
I'm not enough of a expert of how tradable a contract is.
Mhm.
Calvin Ridley still has 2 years on his deal, and his cap hit the next couple of years is about 26.5 million, 27. But on the spot rack, it says potential out before next
26,
year.
yeah.
16 million dead cap hit. But so it's not really a rental for the team that's getting it. They've still got to deal with the dead cap money. So just on first glance, that would indicate to me that devalues what you would trade, unlike somebody who's like, let's take Lockett, who hasn't done anything, but he's a veteran guy and he's on a 1-year deal. So as a rental, you might throw them a draft pick. He's not worth what Ridley's worth in a vacuum. But when you consider the contract, you see what I'm saying? Lockett's contract is a lot more easy to trade. So I don't know how you get around Ridley's contract.
Benjamin on our text line mentions you have to account that DK and Debo got new contracts.
Yes, and that's
right.
What we
that's
said
why
off
that's
air.
what gets trades going in a lot of cases.
Exactly.
That is fair, Benjamin. Let's go to Stryker on our phone line, driven by Wilson County Hunter.com. Stryker, thank you for calling. Please go ahead.
Let's just look at the fundamentals. The team has not had a history of exemplary drafts. So if you fill the bucket with draft capital and presume that in rebuilding, you're going to have a team that's going to mesmerize people and fill seats in the new stadium, history tends to repeat itself. And I would ask, what confidence does anybody have that with a bucket full of draft capital, the Titans can rebuild in a short term with exemplary players?
Okay.
And I'll hang up.
But before you hang up, you still with us?
Yes.
What is your alternative? There's only 2 ways to build a roster. That's drafting and free agency or trades, right? So if you don't want the picks, so how do you build a roster?
I think you build the roster with what you have, and you have the very best coaching that you can have, and you have people that play team football.
But you just got done telling us, and you're correct, that the recent history of their draft, what they have isn't good enough right now. We agree on that, right?
I would say that there is more potential there than has been demonstrated. And to start swapping out the chairs on the Titanic, challenge.
Thank you for the call.
There is a new guy making picks, is what I would make the case.
Well,
you can't just say because the last couple of guys have had some bad drafts that the next few drafts you don't have a belief can be better.
No, but you're right. But we've been saying this for months now. It's not that people don't trust the team. They don't trust who runs the team. That's what it is. And that caller was a prime example. He thinks there's talent, but he don't trust the people that are in place to develop it and to go out and get more. He don't trust them. So he would rather let's just try to develop what we already got, which is, I don't agree with them. I don't agree with them on that because they don't have much. So it's not much you can develop outside of the last 2 drafts, because the drafts before that, they are who they are.
It's a vicious cycle, right?
Yeah.
Right now, it's like that, the whirlwind where you're going down the
That's
toilet,
why the quarterback
right?
has to hit. That's why the quarterback has to hit.
And the question
in a very tough environment.
Yes.
And the question that a lot of texters have, I'm going to single out Robert here because his is the text that's in front of me. But Robert is speaking for a lot of people in the text line. So leave Cam with no one, not only a bad idea, but I don't get trading all of the good players. I don't think trading all of the good players we have would make him very happy. He also doesn't like playing on the turf. That's a separate issue. But the point about that point is well taken, because there is an importance of having a solid infrastructure around your young quarterback. And part of the, let's call it what it is, tanking process is moving on from unnecessary veterans, but you have to try to retain enough of an infrastructure to evaluate
Right.
the young talent on the roster.
And to Benningfield's credit, he says for some of the players he's nominating, and I would say again, when is the last time you saw a team trade more than 2 or 3 guys at the deadline? It just does not happen. It's not like baseball or hockey where you do see that from time to time. You don't have that. But Benningfield is saying, okay, I trade X, I've got Y, Z, A, three guys ready to step in, at least provide some. There's a reason why you would trade Snead, because you've got some young defensive backs, etc. Right? But you trade 3 guys, those guys aren't great players anyway, to me, but they are maybe the best that you have, and you need those draft picks more than you need those players, is what I think.
And it's a double-edged sword, right? Because as we have discussed, when it comes to rebuilding teams, I am on team play the kids, which is give the young players as much opportunity as they can, basically sink or swim. Now, I had this same conversation about the Nashville Predators last season, and Barry Trotz would come on this station every week and talk about how that sort of idea promotes a losing culture, and it's hard to get that stink off of your organization once it bakes in there. The key example in the NHL is the Buffalo Sabres, right? The Buffalo Sabres have missed the postseason, I want to say 15 years in a row, and they've done this. They've played the kids. They've had top draft picks, and no matter what they do, they can't figure it out. So that is the double-edged sword. You can trade Jeffrey Simmons, you can trade Calvin Ridley, L'Jarius Sneed, some combination, Tyler Lockett, Arden Key, and you can put in Jim Dike and other young players to fill those respective roles. But you're putting Cam Ward in an incredibly tough situation. So the question is, we mentioned Calvin Ridley. Let's just say Calvin Ridley's worth a 4th-round pick. What's more valuable to the Tennessee Titans? Having a 4th-round pick that they can use to help replenish the roster, or Calvin Ridley to catch passes from Cam Ward so that Cam Ward isn't throwing passes to untested rookies as he tries to develop?
Well, that's a no-brainer. You keep Calvin Ridley, because all this is predicated on the quarterback. Everything is geared toward the quarterback. Everything that they hopefully are doing is to help this quarterback become the best player that he can possibly be, because obviously they think he's the guy. So if that is the case, then you need to do everything within your power to help him, not hamper him. So taking away his number 1 option when you haven't been able to develop a number 2 option, that's not helping. That's hurting. They were able to trade Hop last year. Why? Because in their mind, they had a number 1 in Calvin Ridley. So we can trade Hop, still have our number 1, and let those other guys kind of fit in where they get in. And they did. It was all right. It wasn't nothing great. It was manageable at times, but we know what were the causes of the Titans' demise last year. Majority of it was the offensive line. But you can't, I don't think we can sit here and say we want the quarterback to develop and we want this quarterback to be the guy that we believe he can be. And then on the other hand, say we're taking away weapons from him. These are some critical times for this quarterback, Cam Ward. This time is critical for him. In his development, he needs as many guys that he can depend on offense. Defense is a different animal. But on offense, he needs as many people as he can possibly have that he can depend on. And sometimes you may just have to suffer through that purgatory of a season when it comes to your roster, just to make sure that your quarterback stays on task. Because if you get rid of his number 1, they haven't developed a 2 or a 3 yet. Now, there are people already didn't want Van Jefferson on the team. You get rid of Calvin Ridley, Van Jefferson goes from being your 3 or 4 to your 2 now.
Yeah,
you got to be careful.
And then there's next year.
Yeah,
too. Like you're gonna maybe you draft a receiver with a high 1st-round pick, and you still need edge rushers. You still need all of these other things. But
I'm not saying don't trade. I'm just saying be careful about the guys on offense that you're trading.
I agree. Ridley is very debatable. I think Simmons because he's got the value that I think he's got, while he's healthy, I think you have to shop him. If you can get Snead playing 5-6 weeks of pretty good football, and he had some very good reps against Devontae Adams. That was encouraging to me. That's why I was concerned that they pushed the envelope and tried on a really hot day where he has not played a full game in a long time. They pushed it, and now I hear he's got a back ailment. I didn't like hearing that. But if he can play 5 or 6 weeks, I think you get a chance to offload him and get something.
Who's going to take that contract?
Well,
who's going to take it?
Let's take a look at the contract.
On a guy that needs to be managed.
A team trying to win this year.
That's still tough. It depends on what he still has left on his contract. This is only the second year into a 4-year deal?
Well, let's see. He's got a dead cap hit of 8.1 at the end of this year. There's 2 years left, $20 million on each year. So could you live with that if you're trying to win and you keep him maybe for one more year after that? I don't know.
Like, it's going to be hard to trade that. Yeah,
it's because a roll of the dice,
because of his history,
his
injury history.
Remember how hard it is to find corners that can help you win.
And his injury history. So you're asking the team to take the contract and the history of injury. Exactly.
And that's why they're probably not going to offer you
much.
You hope.
Yeah.
My thought is that the Titans should trade any player who can get them a top 100 pick. The Titans have a stated goal of acquiring a certain amount of top 100 picks. I can't recall the precise number off the top of my head. I will look it up during the break. But my thought would be trade any player who can get you a top 100 pick. So if that only player is Jeffrey Simmons, then it's Jeffrey Simmons. So I understand the listener's point that if you just trade everybody, then Cam Ward is going to be swimming upstream with a bunch of untested receivers and pass rushers who don't actually get to the quarterback and cornerbacks who commit tons of penalties all of the time. And it's not a good situation for Cam Ward. You don't want to put Cam Ward in that sort of situation. So I get that. But let's get to your reaction coming up next. 615-737-1025. Our phone and text lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. A ton of reaction. We will get to it next. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game.
Derek Mason here, and if you've injured yourself in a motorcycle accident, go to lawtigers.com for your free case evaluation. Even if your accident was months ago, you have nothing to lose by calling Law Tigers. Insurance companies want to pay out as little as possible, or frankly, nothing at all. Law Tigers make sure you get the compensation you deserve and doesn't get paid until your case has been settled. Look, they understand how much your bike gear is worth to you, so they will help you get it all repaired or better yet, replaced. Law Tigers is the resource the motorcycle community turns to when in need. So whether it's to support you in an event or if they see you broken down on the side of the road, with Law Tigers, you'll never ride alone. So call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS or visit lawtigers.com. Law Tigers is powered by Freeman and Fuson. You can find them located in Nashville at 2126 21st Ave South. That's Law Tigers, Tennessee's motorcycle lawyers.
D-Mace Van Gendonic 1025 The Game. That's the good stuff. I heard this song on my way to taking my son to school today, and I made him sit in the car outside the school before I took him in because I had to hear this song.
Exactly. Get him used to some good music. Good for him.
Would we consider MC Scat Cat good music?
For kids, yeah, it is. For him, right now.
The song has more of an adult message.
Yeah. He don't know.
Opposites attract?
Well, this cartoon cat is like all up on Paula Abdul.
Yeah, you got a point.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All up in her business.
That is true.
That
is true.
Yeah.
But we are talking
back memories.
It does. Yeah. It does.
That was a big album.
We are talking Titans, and Blake Bedingfield on paulkaharski.com as part of his scouting review of the Titans' loss to the Rams, suggesting basically that the Titans go full on fire sale. He writes, quote, "My focus going forward would be to trade players that won't be producers when Ward hits his prime. That is 2 years away. I trade L'Jarius Sneed, Jeffrey Simmons, and Calvin Ridley. I also look to shop Tyler Lockett, Arden Key, Draymond Jones, Sebastian Joseph Day, and Kevin Zeitler." So my question to all of you, would you support Blake Bedingfield's position if the Titans were to undertake a full-on fire sale? 615-737-1025. A lot of texts. I will try to get to as many as I can. One texter says, "I just think it's crazy to think about trading our best players after 2 weeks that no one even thought we would have a chance. So stupid. When the Preds were like 23-4, everybody was like, let's wait until Thanksgiving. I'm telling you, a win this week changes everything."
Well, it's hard to do this. Very few trades happen this early in the season. I think it's just the process of having the mindset of checking the market. It doesn't mean you have to trade all these guys, right? Just because you say, let's look to trade them, it doesn't mean you're going to find the right deal. But I think you have to have a mindset of exploring the market and seeing what's out there. And you have until November 4th. Obviously, if they ripped off 4 straight wins, that would change their mind. I don't think anybody's really ready to make a trade right now. But for example, KC, right? They've got they're 0-2.
Just like you.
And
who would have ever thought?
They have a suspended wide receiver and they have an injured wide receiver. Did they have trouble moving the ball against the Eagles? You better believe they did. They got a problem at wide receiver until they get those guys back. So that's the kind of thing that you should be exploring, right? And I don't know if it's Ridley. Maybe they take anybody, but that's why you call and you're in a rebuild mode. You're seeing what the market looks like. How do I improve my team in the long haul?
Derek, I think my stance on this is, as I said before the break, if a team is willing to offer you a top 100 pick, and I failed my own homework assignment by not looking up the quote from, I believe it was Chad Brinker. If a team is willing to offer you a top 100 pick for a player of yours, you take it. Outside of that, I think it would be more valuable to have those players for Cam Ward. So, for example, Tyler Lockett. He's on the 1-year deal, correct? Hasn't done much in 2 games, but a battle-tested veteran. I'm sure has a lot of respect around the NFL. If a team called you and said, we'll give you a 6th-round pick for Tyler Lockett, I would say no. Because, 1, what are the chances that 6th-round pick turns out to be an impact player? And 2, I would rather have Tyler Lockett around my young quarterback. So if you're buying low, or if you're attempting to buy low on one of my players, I would rather keep that player for the premise of helping Cam Ward. But if a team is willing to buy high on a player, that's what I do.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird to talk about right now because we're only 2 weeks into the season, going on 3 weeks. So to talk about, this team and try to destruct this, try to deconstruct. Yes, I missed a part in there. Deconstruct this team this early. Man, I think yes, this team isn't good, But I think this is putting the cart before the horse. We're only 2 weeks in to the season. I understand that this team, you know, if you're talking about the talent from top to bottom, this is not a good team from top to bottom. But you got a lot of young guys playing. Those veteran guys got to step up their game, but you got a lot of young guys playing. So you got to let these guys develop and see what they're going to be before you start thinking about trading your veteran guys. Again, I go back to, you don't know what Alec Almaner is going to be. You don't know what DK is going to be. They've shown flashes, yes, but you don't know if you trade Calvin Ridley in week 5 that it just won't go off the cliff after that. Because newsflash, people, there's this thing called a rookie wall that all rookies hit. No matter who you are, you hit it some form of fashion. And when that rookie hits the wall and you depend on him, it's not good. So let them get through the season a little bit more before, like, we put the cart before the horse in regards to trading. I know that's going to come. It's going to be there. I get it. But to talk, we got to talk about it, and it's a good conversation. But it's like it's too early for me to say, well, they need to trade Ridley. They need to trade Snead. They need to, maybe they can get this for him and get that for him, that. What if for whatever reason, and the texter was right, it only takes 1 week. They win this week against the best team in the South right now, the AFC South, the Indianapolis Colts, who's 2-0. You win a division game. Division game is worth 2 games. You win a division game. This is a whole new ball game now, people. It is. It's a whole new ball game if you beat the Indianapolis Colts. Now you are, guess what? Number 1 in the division. Why? Because you've won a division game. So let's wait. And I'm not saying that it's going to change and they're going to be the best team in the division, but at least give it a chance, a second, before you start, especially the guys on offense, because that's what's going to truly affect Cam Ward. You trade Jeffrey Simmons, yeah, it'll affect Cam Ward, but not to a point where it's going to hurt him in his development. But if you trade Calvin Ridley right now or another week, that is going to hurt the young kid, because those other guys have not shown that they can consistently go out there and get the job done. Let them show it first. Iomanner started off on the right foot, but what happened to letting people prove it? What happened to that? Like, letting guys prove before you start anointing them that guy. Let them prove it. Like, let the young guy, Iomanner, prove that if you do trade away Ridley, that will be the best thing for the quarterback, not necessarily, and the team, I guess.
But this is really a conversation for what do you do as the calendar starts to get to November?
Yes.
It's not, nobody's going to do anything now.
No.
I don't think you shouldn't. But I think as you get towards November, this is the mindset. I think Benefield is setting the table in my mind. I'm not advocating for trading half of your roster right now. You're not. When have you ever in the NFL history seen that many trades this early in the season? It's not going to happen. You realistically could trade about 2 or 3 guys,
maybe even 2. Just
grab
2, really.
Grab 3 or 4 more picks. If you trade Simmons, hopefully you would get more than 1 pick, and then that's what you would do around November.
Yeah, I mean, again, a lot of this is predicated on whether they win, continue to, if they play better and they win. Then if they win, they're not going to be looking to trade a lot, like key guys. They're not going to be looking to trade key guys unless it benefits them right now.
But therein lies the rub. Let's just play it out the way. Let's be as optimistic as we can.
Okay.
So let's say the Tennessee Titans defeat the Indianapolis Colts on Sunday and improve to 1-2. And they go to Houston, and Houston's struggling. And they win that game, and they're 2-2. And maybe they split with the Cardinals and Raiders, and they're 3-3. And then they come back home and they beat Mike Vrabel, and they're 4-3 on the season. So I know, Derek, you played this game. I cannot relate to what it's like being in the locker room when things are going well. You have to be realistic. Even at, let's just say, in my sunny side up, glass half full scenario. The Titans are 4-3 after 7 weeks. I don't think that's going to happen, but let's just say they are. You still have to be realistic about where this team is. So even if the Titans were to miraculously win the AFC South and guarantee themselves a playoff spot, they are not a contender in the AFC. So, like, it's easy for me as someone who has never been in an NFL locker room to say it doesn't matter if the Titans exceed expectations. They need to be realistic about what kind of team they are, and they still need to trade assets. It's easy for me to say that. It's a totally different thing, as Derek knows, for the players in the locker room. Hey, we're 4-3. We've already exceeded our win total from last season. We're playing great. Now you're going to trade our players away? It's a delicate balance that the Titans front office would have to tap dance around in that
The
situation.
only way they would trade an individual, if they're 4-3 after 7 games, 8 weeks, if they're 4-3, I'm not sure they're looking to trade anybody unless it brings back immediate dividends. Like, we're 4-3. We feel we can. We've already won a division game. We feel we got something here. We need something else. Oh, we need we need that. Okay, I will trade away this guy. But outside of that, if you're 4-3, why are you looking to mess with it? Why are you looking to do anything really outside of, if somebody comes to you and say, we want one of your big town. Well, really it goes up even more now because I'm in a position to win my division early on. I'm at the top early on right now. I'm 4-3, won the division game. I'm atop the division right now. Why am I going to do something to hurt myself? If you want to take one of my guys, you got to give me more than you would have given me if I was 0-7 or if I was 1-5 or 1-6, excuse me. You would have to give more, or you would have to give probably a little less. But I'm winning now. You want my players, you got to give more. You got to give me somebody that can help me now and somebody that can help me in the future. If you're not willing to give up that, my team is in a position right now to challenge for a playoff spot. We may get in the playoff and we may lose the first game, but the point is to get in the playoffs first. In order to taste the playoffs, you got to get in there. You can't taste it if you're not in. So get me in the playoffs, and then we'll deal with things after that.
615-737-1025. We will continue to take your reaction to this, a lot of it on our text line driven by Wilson County, Hyundai.com. Thank you, as always, for your participation. But coming up next, let's switch gears for a moment. The local professional hockey team opens training camp tomorrow. Well, technically it opened today, but they're on ice for practice for the first time tomorrow, which is what I consider the opening day of training camp. So the Predators are on ice for the first day of training camp tomorrow, and it is unlikely that one key player will be on the ice with them. We will discuss that coming up next. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 102.5 The Game.
All right, let's tell you about F&M Bank. Banking made easy on purpose. 20 locations in our listening area. They strive to be right in the middle of your community and a part of your daily life, regardless of what your primary goal is. If you're young and you're just starting out, they've got things like the Smart Swipe debit card, so it's a great, simple way to start saving money. If you're a business owner, they have great plans for business-to-business loans and things like that. And wherever you are, they've got a plan for you. Your business means more to them. myfmbank.com is where you go to find out where the nearest location is, whether you're in Springfield, Murfreesboro, out in Clarksville, up in Hopkinsville, Kentucky, or right on West End Avenue in Nashville. myfmbank.com. We take it to the bank every Friday at 5:45. We make our big, bold predictions for the weekend. It's a lot of fun, and it's brought to you by F&M Bank. Banking made easy on purpose. Member FDIC.
D. Mace, Vingan, and Donick 1025. The game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. We will get back into the Titans with Jonathan Hutton from Hot Mike with Hutton and Withrow on Outkick coming up at 5 o'clock. But for now, we're going to put the Titans on pause for a moment and talk about the other local professional team in town, the Nashville Predators. The Predators officially opened training camp today with physicals and team meetings, but they are on the ice for the first time this season starting tomorrow morning at Ford Ice Center, Bellevue. The first group takes the ice at 8:45, the second group at 10:50 a.m., and the third group at 12:50 p.m. So if you are looking for something to do tomorrow, the Predators start practicing. All training camp practices, by the way, are at Ford Ice Center, Bellevue. But there appears to be one player, Willie Donick, who will not be on the ice for the Nashville Predators when training camp, the on-ice portion of training camp, opens tomorrow. And that is Luke Evangelista, who is still without a contract. Evangelista is a restricted free agent, so he has really no leverage. But they have been unable to sign him. The opening of training camp serves as a soft deadline, so perhaps tomorrow morning we wake up and the Predators announce that they've agreed to a contract with Luke Evangelista. But at the moment, Evangelista unsigned and therefore won't be on the ice tomorrow for the Predators. What do you make of this situation? Because frankly, I'm surprised that Luke Evangelista is still unsigned. He is not the only restricted free agent in the NHL who is unsigned. Mason McTavish in Anaheim, I believe Luke Hughes in New Jersey, both restricted free agents, I should say, who are unsigned. But just, I would love your general thoughts on the situation with Luke Evangelista and what kind of contract he could be looking for that is taking him and the Predators so long to come to terms on.
You mentioned two other players, and I was listening to 32 Thoughts with Elliot Friedman, who will be joining our show in the coming weeks here as we get closer to the regular season. Mason McTavish and Luke Hughes are both phenom high first-round picks who I think are in negotiations for a pretty big, significant deal. Those are valuable guys. So I would put those two players in a different category as Luke Evangelista, who is a good, solid young player. But as you mentioned, probably not quite the leverage that those two other guys have. I think the Predators, as they look, first of all, I would not rule out what you said, that tonight or in the morning, right before the first practice, or maybe even sometime tomorrow, they come to terms. I don't think they're that far apart. So I'm optimistic that this is going to get done. There's nowhere for him to go. It's just a matter of how much he wants to sit out. And you hit the key word in my mind is leverage. The Predators, I think, there's a little bit of a wild card with some of these young players. Could they fill for a couple of games if Luke Evangelista really wanted to take this to the mat? And who benefits the most? The Predators have a chance to look for some young players. I'm not sure Evangelista, it'd be the best thing for him to sit out for a long time. This is a critical year for him. He's got to show that he is a consistent. He's not coming off a great year, right? He had a solid finish to the year. He had a very significant injury that he tried to play through and missed some time. And I don't think they look at him as a vital guy that they're trying to lock up to a 7 or 8 year deal. He's not that type of guy at this point. I think I could see a 1, 2, or 3 year deal, depending on what he might bet on himself and take a 1 year deal. Either way, it seems like Evangelista needs to be out there. He doesn't need to be missing a lot of camp. And that's probably more leverage on the Predator side than him.
Evangelista had 32 points, 10 goals, 22 assists in 68 games last season. The year before, he had the career high 39 points, 16 goals, 23 assists in 80 games. And Luke Evangelista, at least to me, Willie, is not irreplaceable. He's a solid player, and I think the Predators would certainly miss him, but I don't see a lot hinging on his availability, if that makes sense.
Right. He's not a driver. Like if you look at analytics, his analytics are steady. There's some things he does very, very well. He draws a lot of penalties. He's got a great hockey IQ. He's a good playmaker, but he's got weaknesses in his game as well. And so he's not one of those guys that is a huge needle mover. He's a good player on a good team. Does he have the ability, Adam, in your mind, to jump up to be like a 30-goal scorer or something like that? Probably not, right?
No.
He's a guy that's a 15, maybe a 20-goal scorer in a good year, who's a playmaker and helps a second power play. That's kind of how I see him. And so there's only a certain amount of value you have at this stage of your career. He's got to prove that he's better than that. And so maybe it's a 1-year prove-it deal that ends up getting done. I can see a 2 or 3 year deal where the Predators maybe pay him a little less, but he gets the security of having certainty, guaranteed money for 3 years. And so I think that's where it would appear to me to be. Elliot Friedman on his podcast said it has been a tough negotiation. I forget the word he used. It didn't go into any detail at all, but he said it's been like you said, it's a little surprising that it's gotten this far.
But I wonder why it's been so tough, because as I said before, I don't think Evangelista has any leverage, not just because he's a restricted free agent, but because
the only leverage he has is to hold out. And that is not,
that's detrimental to Luke
Yes.
Evangelista. He had a down season last season. Now, that doesn't mean he should just take whatever contract the Predators give him and move on. But I don't think he's in any position to get a long-term deal or, a significant raise. He's coming off of his entry-level contract, if I'm not mistaken. So he will get a significant raise from the rookie scale. But, Mason McTavish, the center in Anaheim, or Luke Hughes, the defenseman in New Jersey, the brother of Quinn Hughes and Jack Hughes, they have played key roles for their respective teams. They deserve large pay raises. Evangelista, at least to me, is not in that category. So it is surprising to me that we are at this point. If I recall correctly, Philip Tomasino was unsigned on the eve of training camp last year. And that morning, he signed a 1-year deal and he was on the ice. He did get traded during the season. So my guess is that sometime in the next couple of days, he's going to be under contract.
I agree. I wouldn't be surprised if it happened before they actually take the ice for the first practice. I don't think this is some huge animosity kind of thing. I haven't talked to his agent. I don't know how his agent feels, but I feel like there is a mutual. The Predators want Luke Evangelista on the team this year. They quite frankly they could really use him at this stage of his career. He's a little bit older than the pool of prospects they have coming up. But also, if I'm Luke Evangelista, I'm looking over my shoulder and I'm seeing Kimmel, Surin, Wood, all of the guys that they have been grooming for the last 2 or 3 years. Those guys in the next year or two are going to be in the mix. A couple of them will start to scratch the surface this year. So Evangelista's got to be cognizant of that. And like you said, what your only alternative is to sit out. So that's not a good thing. I think bet on yourself, maybe take the 1-year deal would be the way to go.
You and I both intend on being at training camp tomorrow. We will get into a lot of what's going on with the Predators over the coming weeks before their season opener. And 3-ish weeks, less than a month away from the regular season opener for the Nashville Predators. What is your number one storyline for the Predators as they start training camp tomorrow?
I'll give you a huge storyline, and I think we would all agree. And this goes in context with what is facing Evangelista in the do I hold out to get a little extra. What happened the last 2 years to this team? Bad starts. 5-10 2 years ago, they dug out of it. 0-5 last year, never dug out of it. Do you think there will be a huge emphasis on getting off to a good start and having day one training camp go well? I think absolutely. That will be what you hear from day one. And last year, remember, everything got fouled up. They had bad weather in Tampa. They had a couple of games that were compromised. They had the new guys coming in, and they got off to a terrible start. They are going to take extra measures, maybe push guys more in the training camp to avoid having what happened last year. So to me, that should be something that is considered by the Evangelista camp, right, of being there when it starts, because you don't want to be catching up and falling behind, because that group is going to be moving. They're going to be determined, because if they don't get off to a good start this year, we know what the reaction is going to be, right? There's already some people that are surprised that Andrew Brunette is back. There's people that are skeptical that they can be a bounce-back team. I mean, I'm talking about national people. I'm not talking even about the fans, but the fans would be in this category as well. So there's going to be, I think, even within the locker room, we've got to set the tone early on with ourselves, with our fans, and around the league that we're not slipping back, that we are a bounce-back team. I think that's going to be their mindset.
Quickly, one texter wants to know, can we explain why it seems like hockey has such a long time between draft and impact for players? It can't just be physicality, because we see people in the NFL and the NBA start to have an immediate impact after the draft. Just always wondered.
Well, these kids are drafted. Everybody's 18, right? There's no range. In basketball, there are guys who are drafted when they're 20 or 21. And, sometimes, right around there, right? So they're already starting 2-3 years older than every single kid who's drafted. There might be an occasional kid who's 19 who gets passed over the first year he's eligible. So that's the biggest reason. In football, everybody, you can be 25 and come into the league, right? Hendon Hooker was, 25 years old, 7 years older than Brady Martin is right now. So that's the reason. And so unless you are a freak like Connor McDavid or Sidney Crosby, there are a couple each year that maybe are ready to jump in at 18 and really make an impact, but it's rare.
615-737-1025. By the way, Willie and I will be hosting the season debut of Preds Insiders tomorrow at 6 o'clock, right after DVD. It will be live. So Willie and I will stick around for an extra hour of hockey talk for all you Predators fans out there. That's tomorrow at 6 o'clock, right after this fine program. But coming up next, we'll get back into the Titans in college football with our friend Jonathan Hutton from Hot Mike with Hutton and Withrow on Outkick. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Ving at 1025 The Game. Steve Mace, Finnegan, and Donick 102.5 The Game, broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and David Janes here with you. A reminder, Silly Underdog Picks is coming up next. If you want to represent the people, be listening for the cue to call at 615-737-1025. If you represent the people and you win, you will win a pair of tickets to see Papa Roach and Rise Against at First Bank Amphitheater on Wednesday, October 1st. Willie Donick informs me that our representative won last week, picking Eddie
Casey.
George's Bowling Green.
The Falcons, 2-1.
So
As the home dog, knocked off Liberty.
that could be you.
Eddie George,
Liberty.
2-7. Moving
There
up
you go.
to the MAC.
A little action. Who doesn't love a
Yes.
little action? You know who also loves some action? Jonathan Hutton.
Let's go.
I think he does. From Hot Mike with Hutton and Withrow on
Sure.
Outkick. Do you love some action, Hutton?
Right place and time.
Exactly.
If you have some action on action, absolutely.
Fair enough.
Why not?
So since we're talking college football, let's stay on college football. I
Okay.
have two questions for you. One about Tennessee and one about Vanderbilt. The question about okay, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Oh, go ahead. Question: which one?
Let's start with Tennessee.
They're a college football playoff team. That's
Well,
what I saw.
I was just about to ask you where Tennessee's CFP hopes were following the loss to Georgia. You can go ahead and answer that question now.
Yeah, man. I look. It's going to be fascinating if they're a 3-loss team and you have a 2-loss team ahead of them with the new way that they are analyzing and inputting strength of schedule without the tweaks they've made to that. I think it benefits Tennessee with what they've done. So, look, the way they played that game against Georgia and the improvement that we've seen just with the quarterback, downfield passing game, all of it, it's the game was fantastic, nearly identical to the Alabama game from 2022. And I mean, even from the early start by Tennessee, all the big plays, great play by the other quarter. The only difference was Tennessee won the game against Bama. And Georgia looks like the national championship contender. Tennessee is a college football playoff team right now. And I mean, hats off to what they've done. They did everything but win that game. And I like what I've seen, given the fact that they were down their 2 corners. They're going to continue to be tested there in the secondary. But the offense has shown they can push the ball and score a lot of points. So, I mean, finally saw some big plays with the return game. I mean, again, there's a lot of positives despite the fact that Georgia continues to win because they're Georgia and they're still right there. I was wrong about them slipping. It's incredible what they've done. And when you also include, Adam, the game last year against Bama and how what Kirby Smart is able to do despite adversity, just the fantastic game top to bottom. Vanderbilt can be a college football playoff contender. There is no reason why they can't be Alabama or South Carolina from last year, from what I've seen. And the gauntlet that they have coming up, there's a big schedule ahead of them. But get to Bama 5-0 and win that game. They're the media darling of the country, and Pavia's being discussed as a Heisman candidate. So they can be a much bigger discussion than where they are now. And I get it. Hey, they beat South Carolina. They did it with Sellers getting hurt. But I'm here to tell you, they're better than their ranking right now. And they went on the road and won against number 11 in the SEC. And Vanderbilt is ranked in the top 25 in September, not November. It's September. So, I mean, don't tell them they can't do something because they'll show up and get it done.
Michael, you answered my question. My question to you was going to be, what will it take for Vanderbilt to be considered this season's version of Indiana?
Yeah, well, they won't be considered this year's version of Indiana. No one's going to debate their schedule if they're on the precipice of knocking on the door of the
That's
playoff.
true.
No one's going to. So no one can use that against them. That was the argument against Indiana, is who they've played. Vanderbilt's producing against a gauntlet of a Southeastern Conference schedule. So that they would have proven that they deserve to be there. That's why South Carolina they had all that momentum leading up to the push for the playoff against the argument for or making the argument against a team like Indiana. Bama the same way, thinking about a team like SMU. So, Vanderbilt would be there, and it's crazy to say that, but I mean it's more than Pavia, but man, have they taken on the mentality of both he and Clark Lee. It's a tremendous job, and I realize it's early in the season. But it's early in the season, and Vanderbilt's being discussed like this. That's some good college football being played in Tennessee.
Now, with that being said, Hut, we had a sort of a funny, what would you call it? Hypothetical. If Vanderbilt and Tennessee played right now, if they played this weekend, what would be the line in the game?
Where's the game being played?
It's played in Knoxville.
Tennessee's favored by 4 or 5.
I thought it would be double digits. I thought it would be 10.5.
So the perception is that Tennessee went toe-to-toe with Georgia. They were 3.5-point dog to Georgia in that game. Vanderbilt, the perception is they went on the road and Sellers got hurt, so they won. So again, like it's Vanderbilt is they don't jump off the page to you if you just look at a stat sheet. They just do everything consistently well, and for the first time, guys, they compete in the trenches on defense. They've got players up front that can play some SEC ball. So I mean, I realize I sound like a front runner here for them, and I'm all in on Van. How can you not be, given what we saw last year? And the momentum is carried over to this year where they're not just winning. I mean, they are taking care of business and with an exclamation mark. I think it's a much tighter game. Tennessee fans didn't want to play Vandy when they did last year. I wouldn't want to play them. If that's the case, I wouldn't want to play them this year, despite taking care of business here in Nashville for the Vols.
Now let's transition to the Titans, obviously. Coming off of not
Speaking
impressive.
Of that's loss. Where the good football in Tennessee has stopped. Now we're headed to the opposite end.
Exactly. Now looking at this team, how much can Cam Ward actually help them this year, or is it just about developing him? Because if you look at this roster from top to bottom, we all know it's not the greatest roster. But can he be enough to help this team, or is this just a hey? This is a development year for you to get you better as a quarterback as we add, talent to the roster.
I mean, at this stage, I mean, he helps this team by developing into the quarterback that's ready to go in year 2. Under what regime, I have no idea. Coaching staff, but he also helps this team by lifting the play of the rookies around him. And we see other players develop with him. That I think it's more than him in how Borgonzi has structured this group. It's very similar to what the Chiefs did whenever they drafted Mahomes and brought him in. I know they set out the first year, but they end up pairing him with a tight end. They got a wide receiver here. They bulk up on some defense. I mean, this is it's not hard to flip around a team, Mace, in a rebuild. But this is a multi-year deal here because of the depth and the issues and not hitting on draft picks. So, this is another off-season acquisition phase away from actually seeing what can be. But he's got, how does he help this team? He develops players around him. He leads. He becomes he already is the leader, but the unquestioned leader that is consistent in what he says, what he does, and how he approaches week in and week out. And he also helps this team by not allowing others to quit around him. It's gonna be a long year based on what we've seen, man. And he's gonna take a beating. So the trials and tribulations are ahead. They're just getting started.
Now Blake Bedenfield came out with an article on paulkoharski.com setting up the table already for potential moves that the Titans can make. When should, even though the table is being set by Blake Bedenfield, I'm not saying the Titans are doing that, but obviously he is, and I'm sure there are a lot of Titan fans that are already thinking about, hey, this is the people we need to trade. We need to start getting some more assets for this year's draft and potentially next year's draft. When should they start thinking about that?
Well, right around the trade deadline. And you just wait on the offers and see what teams are willing to offer to bring a player in. I mean, I don't recall defensive tackles being moved all that often at the trade deadline. But yeah, I mean, it's either that or you do it like leading up to the NFL draft for draft capital. You don't do it after the draft. But Mace, they don't have many pieces to do that with. And they just gave Simmons a bump, didn't they, in pay?
Yeah, to my
Recently?
understanding, it was money already owed, but they just kind of moved it around a little bit. To my
They get
understanding,
cash on hand. They gave him some cash up front or something. I just saw that headline. I didn't read that in depth, so I apologize. But that doesn't signal to me like a move that says you're going to move him. But I mean, he's the first that comes to mind, and one of the very few. And they just extended Hooker. He was another trade asset of value in the draft. So, I mean, there's not too many left unless you're going to start trading some of your young pieces that you drafted and invested in. And I don't see that happening.
Talking to Jonathan Hutton from Hot Mike with Hutton and Withrow. So, Hutton, we talked last week about L'Jarius Sneed. I think there was some disappointment that they didn't let him go into the second half. But
yeah,
I was surprised that it went full throttle the other way
me too.
On a really hot day. And now he's got a back ailment. I'm concerned about that. I still would like to know a little bit more of what the process has been, because in other sports in particular, they're so careful about these things. And so it's like they abandoned the plan. They went from, hey, let's be careful. Let's ratchet up step by step to let's throw him in there and let's have him chase Davante Adams all over the field for the whole game in 90-degree weather on turf. That was a major risk to me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if the back issue is from the 90-degree weather. I know what you're saying though on the risk. Let's go back to the plan where it started. What plan has him play the first half and not the second? Like, it's just like, oh, he played some long drives, and I was like, well, I mean,
it's definitely outside the box thinking.
I don't understand that, especially in the type of game that, I mean, even in the preseason, if you're playing some of your players, like you want to go two possessions. Well, if the first possession is a 13-play drive, the dude's not going to play the second. And if it's 2 straight 3-and-outs, maybe they play a third. There's some flexibility there. And then to go the opposite end, I mean, it just sounds like they on one game, again, this is just perception. One game they went with their plan. Game 2 they went with his. Like that's what it looks like. I don't know why you would go the other way, or it's flip-flopped, but it certainly didn't feel like that based on what he said post-game. But Willie, I mean, they're a much better team with him on the field, but I mean, if he's going to play, he's going to get hurt. I mean, that's just kind of, I expect that to happen.
I think we're all very concerned.
Even if he's healthy.
We'll believe it when we see it that he can last. But in the meantime, I equate it to when you see a pitcher, if you're really going to use the term pitch count, when you watch a pitcher coming back from an injury, especially one that's been out for a long time, they're going to go, 3 innings, and then they're going to go 5 innings, et cetera, right? And so they went from 3 innings to let's play the whole game, and that's just not what you would do. And I know you can't do this on the minor league level, but if you're going to be outside the box and you're going to be modern with sports science, they seem to completely take a different approach in the second game. I don't know if that's the agent. I don't know if that's Sneed lobbying, et cetera, but it's been thrown out by more than one person from the Titans, the coaches anyway, of sometimes you have to protect the player from himself. If he gets hurt and blows himself out in week 3 or 4, where are you? And
I mean, they're already screwed. Let's put it that way. And now, I mean, maybe they just went into it knowing we have to have him to match up. We need a one-on-one with Davante Adams because we still have to worry about Puka Nacua. Because on the offensively, those are the 2 targets for Stafford, and that was it. I mean, by far, those were the 2 main targets, and they want to man him up. Again, I don't know. I don't understand the plan where he played half the game. So it's hard for me to understand what was going on with full throttle, where, I mean, if you're on a pitch count 1 week and all of a sudden you miraculously get better, sounds like he felt good because he only played half the game. But, I mean, guys are going to get injured and get hurt, but I just assume he's always hurt. And if you're out there, you're out there. Like if you're out there on the island for his position, man, like I don't want to play half the game. I got to get into a rhythm and a flow, because especially at that spot where there's going to be a ton of up and downs. I'm sure he wanted to play the full game, and I mean, we'll see if he can push through this. But yeah, it's not a good sign, and it's not a good sign with or without him, given some of the possessions that we've seen, the long drives and the second halves where the offense isn't helping.
Latham is still not practicing.
Yeah.
If he's not out there again on Sunday, which I think it looks like there's a pretty decent chance that that's the case, and they have to try to make it work with the scraps that they have. How much better can it look, given that it's not the Rams or the Broncos front? And the Colts are no slouch, no question. They're playing great, confident-wise, but can they maybe do a little bit better job of protecting Ward?
Well, they should. I mean, you're right about comparing the other two pass rushes, because the Colts have just 3 sacks this season. Can the Titans actually protect Ward, and can he get the ball out quickly? They also need chunk yardage from Tony Pollard. That he ran well last week, but Pollard, I mean, he now has 38 carries this season. Willie is the 4th most in the NFL for running backs, but chunk yardage is needed from him. And right now, only 2 of his carries have gained more than 10 or more yards. That's a total of 2 carries of his total. And 26 players in the NFL have more carries that have produced more yardage than what he has, but he has the 4th most touches. He's got to be more of a focus too for Ward to have some options. But ultimately, it's the 3rd and 9 plus. Teams are going to tee off on him, no matter if they're starting J.C. Latham or not, if this offense can't do more than 2 yards per play on 1st and 2nd down, and it can't even have a big play in the second half. I mean, they didn't have a single play of 20 or more yards passing or 10 or more yards rushing in the second half this past week. I mean, they can't do anything. So the pass rush is just going to pin their ears back at that point, knowing you have to pass if you're trailing. They played good in the first half, and then it all hits the fan. It's not good for Cam Ward is the answer if Latham can't play, but it wasn't good if he was in there.
Jonathan Hutton from Hot Mike with Hutton and Withrow on Outkick has been our guest on D-Mace, Vingan, and Donick. He joins us every Wednesday at 5 o'clock. Hutton, great stuff as always, my friend. We'll catch up next week.
Yeah, looking forward to it, and looking forward to silly underdog picks.
What a
Who's
great
leading
segue.
the competition? Who is leading this competition?
Hal Gill.
Rookie.
Hal Gill is 1-2 with 17.5 points.
Okay.
Derek Mason is in second place at 1-2 with 15.5 points.
Mm-hmm.
I am 2-1, but in third place with 10.5 points.
Okay.
And Chris Sanders is over 3 with 0 points.
And Willie is 3-0.
No, he's the commish.
Willie's always the winner.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
He always
wins.
Yeah, he's always.
House always wins.
That's right.
I heard that somewhere.
That's why I don't go to
That's the
casinos.
I learned that the hard way.
Thank you, Hutton.
All right, see you guys.
Yep.
What a great segue. Week 4 of Silly Underdog Picks presented by Volunteer Hose and Gasket is coming up next. We will make our selections on the other side. We will also let you know when you can call and represent the people. And as I said, if you represent the people and win, which did happen last week, you will win a pair of tickets to see Papa Roach and Rise Against at First Bank Amphitheater on Wednesday, October 1st. Silly Underdog Picks is next. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 102.5 The Game.
Derek Mason here. If you've injured yourself in a motorcycle accident, go to lawtigers.com for your free case evaluation. Even if your accident was months ago, you have nothing to lose by calling Law Tigers. Insurance companies want to pay out as little as possible, or frankly, nothing at all. Law Tigers make sure you get the compensation you deserve and doesn't get paid until your case has been settled. Look, they understand how much your bike gear is worth to you, so they will help you get it all repaired, or better yet, replaced. Law Tigers is the resource the motorcycle community turns to when in need. So whether it's to support you at an event, or if they see you broken down on the side of the road, with Law Tigers, you'll never ride alone. So call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS or visit lawtigers.com. Law Tigers is powered by Freeman and Fuson, and you can find them in Nashville, located at 2126 21st Ave South. That's Law Tigers, Tennessee's motorcycle lawyers.
D. Mace Vingett and Donick 1025. The game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingett. It is indeed time for Silly Underdog Picks, Week 4, presented by Volunteer Hose and Gasket. Without any further ado, I turn it over to the commissioner.
Oh, Willie D. Ooh, Willie. Oh, Willie D.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Willie D.
boys and girls, welcome
Ooh,
to Silly Underdog Picks 2025. Brought to you by our friends at Volunteer Hose and Gasket. It has been a fantastic start to the season. 3 weeks in, just about everybody has scored.
Just about
Just
everybody.
about everybody. And we're going to have some fun this week with another great weekend. College football is off to a great start.
Mhm.
So with that in mind, we welcome our contestants live from somewhere in Nashville, I think, maybe downtown Nashville, not Maine. The state of Maine would be Hal Gill on the line with us. Rookie, what's going on?
Well, I'm just hanging out with my my committee. Part of my committee, Lindsay Rowley and Chris Mason, are
Okay.
offering a lot of hey, it's exciting. The Preds are back. We had gladiator shots. We got to look pretty. We got all dressed up. Willie, you were looking good.
Thanks, man.
I'm
All right.
excited for this year. So now we're just hanging out. We're getting ready for dinner, and I'm excited about this. I'm in the game. So
You're
I'm
in the
excited
game.
about
You're
it.
leading.
You're the
winning.
leader
You're
in the
leader.
clubhouse.
Am I leading?
Right now.
I didn't want to say that, but
You are. You're leading.
I
Flaunt
don't
it.
want to get cocky.
So having the committee together live, I think for the first time in the season, how was that today? The brainstorming on today's pick. Are we going to see a big difference?
I got to tell you, Chris Mason, not a lot of thoughts. Lindsay Rowley, a lot of thoughts.
A lot of thoughts.
There's a lot going on there. There's a lot of raw stats that I need to digest that I'm not aware of. She's on another level, but a lot of valuable input.
C-Mace, on the other hand, I'm not sure he's aware that there are 4 downs in
Yeah, he thinks there's 12,
American
12
football.
players and 3 down.
Right.
With the big ball.
the Canadian style of game.
But does he
Yes.
know what a rouge is?
A rouge,
Yes. That's in the CFL, right?
as in Baton Rouge?
No, a rouge is a
Man,
1-point score.
Moulin
It's a
Rouge.
In the
1 point,
CFL.
you punch it out of the end
Oh.
zone or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought you were
I-
talking about the movie Clerks. Your cunning attempt to trick me. Rouge.
I do love Clerks.
It's a good movie.
But that's not what I was trying to do.
Okay, well, Skillsy, hang tight as we introduce the rest of the panel. Do we have?
No,
we don't.
Don't even
Yeah,
ask.
don't even.
Oh my
we
goodness.
don't.
The
And-
defending champion Chris Sanders still not able to join us on time.
And I'm just going to make this clear. Chris Sanders has the first pick today.
Yes,
If
he does.
is not on the line by the time David hits some Lionel Richie, David will be making the pick for Chris Sanders.
Okay.
Yes.
That's the rule.
That's my rule. That's my motion to the commissioner.
Okay, so let's buy Chris a little time and review the picks from week 3.
Oh, whoa. You didn't.
I've already introduced both of you.
You
guys.
didn't introduce me. You didn't even say anything about me winning.
We're-
like having a big week last week.
We're going to talk about you, D Mace, because you were the story of week 3.
Oh my goodness.
All right, let's review the picks from week 3. We started off with Adam Vingen, fresh off his first win of the season in dramatic fashion in week 2 with Mississippi State and their big come from behind win. He stayed in the SEC and went with the Vanderbilt Commodores, a 4-point dog on the road at number 11 South Carolina. We know what the story was. Each team scored on their opening possession, and then Vanderbilt absolutely whitewashed the Gamecocks. 31-7 was the final. They won going away, so much so that we were talking about Theo Vaughn and potential dates with Diego Pavia's mom and Tate McRae during the broadcast. When has Vanderbilt ever won a road game where they were talking blowout material in that situation? It doesn't happen. So this is a new chapter. But Adam, congrats on your second win.
I had the utmost confidence in Clark Lee and the Commodores. I know it was only a 4-point spread, but I do have 2 wins in 3 weeks. So I'm only in 3rd place, but I have some good mojo here. I'm picking winners. So
Yes.
I think that will serve me well.
Chris Sanders, the defending champion, trying to juggle life as a assistant coach for the NBA Big Red and the afternoon show trying to defend the title. He is struggling with this right now. He still went for the big one. He went Purdue, a 20.5-point dog against Southern Cal, hoping that the Trojans move across to the Midwest would hurt them. It didn't. Trojans 33, Boilermakers 17. Weather delays in there. It was a weird game. So Sanders drops to 0-3. You might need to consult some more with his crew.
And I just want to make one thing clear once again.
Boy, you are really protesting.
you're on him.
You are really on
I just want to make one thing clear. We moved the competition to this specific time to accommodate Chris Sanders. That is why this game is being played on Wednesdays at 5:20 to buy Chris Sanders time. And yet he fails to show up. That's why I have zero sympathy for the fact that he's 0-3 and the fact that David James may be making his pick in a matter of moments.
Listen to the anger.
I'm
The
not
anger
worried
is
about it.
just-
I mean,
I'm not.
I'm a cool as a
shocking.
bear in the pool over here. If Chris don't want to show, he just don't show.
Hey, I know football. I can make
Exactly.
it.
I trust David.
I probably
I'll
won't
trust
make a pick
David
for him.
too.
So why is D-Mace laughing and easygoing about this?
Yeah, you know.
It's because of his pick last week. He selected the Lobos of New Mexico. Hardly a juggernaut
No.
on the college football scene. They were a 15.5-point dog in the Rose Bowl against UCLA. Did UCLA have some problems?
Ruins.
Oh, yes. 35-10 Lobos. By the end of the game, there was virtually nobody. You know how big the Rose Bowl is.
Oh, there was nobody at the game.
There was nobody.
It was just
there.
a bowl. There wasn't no roses.
It was a
to
bowl. It was not even petals,
Exactly.
not even thorns. There's
No.
nothing in there. Nico and the Bruins dropped to 0-3. Coach Deshaun Foster fired after the game. But D-Mace moves up into second place with 15.5 big ones.
See, this is what happens when you scout. The week before, like a week or two before, I scouted New Mexico. And they were, you know why I scouted them? Because they were playing my arch rival, Michigan, and I wanted them to beat Michigan. That was first game of the season, I believe.
Yep.
They played them tough, really tough. I looked at that game and said, you know what? The way UCLA is playing, the way they are being coached, they're not going to win this game. It's going to be a blowout. What happened? Yeah, ended up being
I mean, if I could give you
just a
bonus
low
points,
bowl.
I would.
Yeah.
35-10.
Exactly. It's a
It's a
blowout.
15-point dog.
It's a blowout.
Hal Gill had the fourth pick, trying to build off of his biggest win of the season, the previous week against the Florida Gators. They were the victim of Hal's USF Bulls, 17.5 points. This time, Hal tried to pick the Gators to rebound and go to LSU and win. The Gators were a 7.5-point dog down in the Bayou. It was a tight game. But LSU, a little too much defense, 5 interceptions, a little bit of a surprise for Florida's young quarterback, who I think is really good, but he didn't play well in that game. And so LSU, ranked number 3 in the country now, holds on for a 20-10 win. So the standings after 3 weeks, Hal was 17.5, D-Mace 15.5, Adam 10.5, Chris Sanders
Goose egg.
has yet to score. He has yet to score.
0.
Shout out to the people, though. Casey had Bowling Green, a 6.5-point dog with Eddie George at the helm against Liberty, and they
Okay.
won 23-13. So congrats to the people.
Okay. One more thing.
But wait,
Before
we have another.
Yes.
The bitterness.
Yes.
Adam, you've won your last 2
Yes.
picks.
I
Don't
know.
worry about it.
Look.
He's
here-
not here. Just play the music let's do the picks.
Let me just ask. I want to ask the commissioner. Should we let David James stand in for Chris Sanders, who has yet to call us, or should we move Chris Sanders to the back of the line because he's not here for the first pick?
No, because he told me he's going to call back in 4 minutes.
That was about 10 minutes ago.
exactly. So
Y'all want to put him at the end of the line, or y'all want
No.
David to pick?
I'm
So
gonna-
I believe that the commissioner will rule that David will make the pick for Chris.
So
Okay.
David,
Hit the music.
If
You're on the
Chris
clock.
doesn't call by the end of this Lionel Richie special.
hit it. Hey, Chris,
Oh, Chris is calling.
are you on the line?
He just had to wait for his cue. That's all.
Where are you, Chris?
Chris.
We wonder where you are too.
Chris, you are
What are you doing?
you are so
Chris, what are you doing?
damn lucky.
Hey, I was working on my gout. I got gout on the foot.
Who are you, Joe Rexroad?
Chris Sanders just in time.
In the nick of
Impeccable
time.
timing.
All right,
Impeccable
Chris.
timing, Chris.
Make your
Yes.
pick.
Chris, you're up.
Yes, I am going with Washington over Washington. I mean, Washington State over Washington.
Washington over Washington.
Yeah, Washington. I know they both the same team.
What is the line, Chris?
20 and a half.
Wow.
20 and a half. 20 and a half.
Wow.
Okay,
Guaranteed.
Oh, he's guaranteed. Do you get minus
Guaranteed.
40 if they don't win?
No, man. Don't do that to me, D-Mate. No.
Okay, so Washington State is a 19.5-point dog at home against Washington.
Okay.
Unfortunately, these two teams did not play in the same conference anymore. Washington State still not really in the league. Like, I still don't quite understand how that works.
I don't know what they're doing. They just roam. They just roaming around college.
They're 2-1.
College football.
Washington is 2-0. That game is on CBS somehow. At
So, Chris, you
6:30.
get to see it. You get to watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
He ain't gonna watch it.
Chris, how was practice?
It actually was pretty good, man. We actually going to Knox Catholic. And I just want to further say this. Just because Derek went there, or Coach there, I do not like his work. I'm just letting you know that right now. I'm just letting you know.
We'll see y'all. Don't worry about it. We'll see y'all.
All right, so that game is being played in Pullman.
Mhm.
So the Cougars, a big home dog. So Chris will hope to score big with that win. All right, let's get to Derek Mason with the second pick of the day.
All right. I like that. Man. Okay. I am going to the Big Ten.
Ooh, now wait a minute. I'm just wondering here.
No.
Mace played in the Big Ten. No? Okay.
I can't do that.
Okay.
I can't do that.
Okay.
You know I can't do
I
that,
was
Willie. I'm
looking
like you. I can't.
You don't
No,
like
I
it.
just got to
Okay.
watch the game. I can't bet it. No, I can't do a silly underdog on the game. I am going with Maryland over
I was going
Wisconsin. Maryland over Wisconsin. It's a 10.5.
You thought Adam was angry before. Man,
He was mad.
Why?
There you go.
Maryland is a 10-point dog on the road at Wisconsin. Maryland is 3-0. We just saw Wisconsin get absolutely destroyed
Mhm.
at the hands of the Crimson Tide.
And their quarterback's hurt. Wisconsin's quarterback hurt.
I do have to ask the question: How is Wisconsin favored by 10?
I don't know.
We're
That's
gonna
what I'm
have no
trying to figure
idea.
out. Yeah.
That's why I was
Well,
going to pick it.
Because Maryland really hasn't played anyone. They haven't had a
Okay.
test. And they figured Wisconsin has with Alabama, and Alabama only rushed for like 70-something yards. So
It is the 11 a.m. kickoff on NBC, so it is a key early game. So we'll see how the Terps do. All right, that brings us to Hal Gill. Let's see what he's got up his sleeve with his committee live from downtown Nashville.
Committee. What in the world is that? That sounds like somebody underwater beatboxing.
That's Purple Hat, boys. That's Purple Hat. That's
What in
that
the
is.
world?
That's my jam. And I say that as I had to leave the bar as my committee is sitting at the bar, and so they kind of left me. I'm outside. I'm on my own, but I will say, I'm looking at two teams that haven't played anyone, and I'm looking at the rankings. I don't understand it. The Fighting Illini are going to take down Indiana. I'm assuming, right? They're not ranked as high, but they're like Indiana's a favor. How does that happen? I don't understand that, and I can't imagine. D-Mace, you could tell me. Indiana's not a hostile environment. Is that like Indiana? The Hoosier fans can't be. There's going to be a lot of clapping, I'm assuming, and they can probably get through that. So I'm going to take the Illini.
I wonder why they are.
All right, let's ask the Big 10 guys.
Point favorite.
Did you ever play at Indiana?
Yeah, it wasn't like a loud place to play in. It really wasn't.
I didn't play in the Big Ten.
Yeah, you did.
No, I was going to ask. So, Chris, did you ever play at Indiana?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you remember
He's
the
right.
pageantry, the atmosphere?
The pageantry. What?
There was no pageantry. No
pageantry?
No.
That's a big word. I gotta ask Chat GPS, whatever it is. What pageantry? I don't know what that means. What?
I can tell you that Assembly Hall for basketball, I did play at Indiana.
A little
That's
different.
A place.
A little
That's
different.
Is an
different.
odd
Yes.
place, but
the basketball court, the arena is different from the
nice?
football field.
it's awesome.
It is different.
Yeah.
So Hal Gill selects the Fighting Illini of Illinois, a 5.5-point dog on the road at Indiana. Illinois is 9th in the rankings. Indiana 19th. This is an NBC game at 6:30 in Bloomington. That brings us to our final pick for week number 4. It's Adam Vingan.
All righty. Well, Derek Mason took one of my picks. Hal Gill took the other.
Oh,
But
man.
this is why I come prepared. I seriously considered taking the Tulane Green Wave over Ole Miss, but I'm not going to do that. This pick is dedicated to my friend David Janes. I am taking the Memphis Tigers, a 7.5 home dog against Arkansas.
Go Tigers, go, baby.
Give me the Tigers
Ooh.
to upset the Razorbacks at Memphis on Saturday.
Very interesting.
I'm surprised no one picked the Colorado and Wyoming game. That was one of mine. I'm like, Colorado hadn't looked too good this year. And they're 14-point favorite against Wyoming. That could be an upset.
We'll
that
have
could
to
be an upset.
We'll have to ask Hal Gill. He has a member of his committee, Kara Hammer, is a Wyoming grad.
Yeah.
I wonder if that was brought to the table. Arkansas, meanwhile, is a 7.5-point dog on the road. I'm sorry, Memphis is a 7.5-point dog playing at home in the Liberty Bowl against the Arkansas Razorbacks. Very interesting pick right there.
Is Sellers back? Will he be back for this game?
I haven't seen any update on his status.
Because they are a 10-point dog versus Missouri. And I would tend to believe it's because he may not play. Or
Yeah, from what I've heard, I don't think he will be. Yeah.
Okay. Well, people, the picks are in. So let's do a quick review before we move forward and get the people's pick. These are the picks for week 4, Silly Underdog Selections 2025, brought to you by Volunteer Hose and Gasket. Chris Sanders, right now in the cellar, barely making post in time, sprinting from the practice field to get to a phone to make the call. Yes, Chris.
Thanks, Willie.
You got it, buddy. He takes the Cougars of Washington State, a 19.5-point home dog against the in-state rival Washington Huskies.
Let's go, Cougars. Let's go, Cougars.
As usual, Chris Sanders swinging for the fences. He is going deep, as he always does.
Go long
Derek
or go
Mason.
home.
He hit a bomb last week for 15.5. He's coming back this week with Maryland. The Terrapins, a 10-point dog at Wisconsin at Camp Randall Stadium. An 11 a.m. kickoff up in Wisco. Hal Gill from downtown Nashville selects number 9, Illinois, a 5.5-point dog at 3-0 in the season in a Big Ten matchup at 3-0 Indiana. Very interesting swing game for both teams. And finally, Adam Vingan. He had to cross off a couple picks on his list. And he goes down the road to Memphis. The Tigers, a 7.5-point home dog in the Liberty Bowl against SEC foe Arkansas, just across the Mississippi River.
Memphis.
These are the picks for week number 4. The people's pick will be on the other side of the break. So if you want to make a pick for the people, you can win tickets if you dial right now at 615-737-1025. In the meantime, those are our picks. They're in the books. Gentlemen, good luck.
Hey, fellas, I love each and every one of y'all, but I hope y'all team get drugged through the mud, and I hope y'all lose.
Especially Chris.
Chris, you were very lucky. I was going to pick Oregon State against Oregon, which is you're very lucky.
Now go and lose your game, Chris.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. Love you guys.
See you later, Chris. All right, you heard Willie. The first caller at 615-737-1025 will represent the people. And if you pick correctly, you will win a pair of tickets to see Papa Roach and Rise Against at First Bank Amphitheater on Wednesday, October 1st. Call us now, 615-737-1025. The People's Pick is next. We'll wrap up the show as well. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game. D. Mace, Vingan, and Donick, 1025 The Game. Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. Willie Donick has departed. He has to go meet up with Hal Gill and Lindsey Rowley and Chris Mason and Kara Hammer and the rest of the FanDuel Sports Network crew ahead of the Predators season. They've got a dinner downtown, hence why Hal Gill was downtown during Silly Underdog Picks. So we bid adieu to Willie Donick for the remainder of the show. But let's go to our phone line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com and welcome in Brendan, who will represent the people this week in silly underdog picks. Brendan, welcome to the competition. Your selection, please.
Gentlemen, I am going the Michigan State Spartans over USC. Go green.
Go white.
Go green.
All right. Thank you, Brendan.
I couldn't pick them.
Derek Mason couldn't do it.
I couldn't do it because I got to be able to just watch the game.
But Brendan is, at least according to ESPN Bet, I'll check with CBS because that's what Willie uses. But on ESPN Bet, yes.
It's
I have 17.5.
18.5.
Oh, okay.
18.5.
So on CBS Sports, Michigan State is an 18.5 point underdog at USC at LA Memorial Coliseum. So good luck to you, Brendan. If you win, you will win a pair of tickets to see Papa Roach and Rise Against at First Bank Amphitheater on Wednesday, October 1st.
Let's go, Brendan. Let's go.
I do find the tactics of the people interesting.
Why is that?
Because Brendan could score a big win for the people. An 18.5 point spread, you said.
Exactly.
Michigan State over USC. But he is adding to the degree of difficulty for winning the tickets. He could choose a really small underdog and give himself a better opportunity of winning the tickets.
Hey, but he's a Spartan fan. I feel you.
All right.
I feel you. If it wasn't silly
blind
underdogs,
loyalty. That's
no
what
doubt.
I say.
Green and white all night, all day.
Blind.
You got blind. You the same with Duke. So hey, there you go.
But I'm like you. I don't know if I might pick Duke in the silly underdog competition.
Ooh, that'd be tough.
That would be tough. That would be tough.
Because now you're watching the game not only because of the underdog pick, but you want your team to win. So it's gonna be double trouble, man.
Extra emotions come out. Just like
that's why I don't do it, man. I don't do it.
Same.
I don't do it.
That's David, your Tigers, I will be rooting them on this weekend against Arkansas. So you do have added
go Tigers,
incentive.
go, baby. I do. I do now. I'm going to be making sure to watch it now.
Yes. Precisely.
Cheering you on, Adam.
Thank you. Thank you, friend. A lot of reaction to our topic earlier today. Blake Bedingfield of PaulKaharski.com wrote in his review of the game against the Rams that if it were up to him, he did not write this specifically. I am putting words on his keyboard or in his mouth. That he would go full on fire sale. He would look to trade Jeffrey Simmons, Calvin Ridley, L'Jarius Sneed, Arden Key, Tyler Lockett, Draymond Jones, basically any veteran player who's healthy and has value right now, he would look to trade. And I thought the mix of reaction on our text line was interesting because we did have a healthy mix of people who said, if you trade all of these players and you tear it down, you are putting Cam Ward in a terrible situation. You are not giving him any veterans to lean on. You are deconstructing the infrastructure of the team, which is important to the development of a young quarterback. Conversely, we had texters that said, burn it down. And that's where we are already. And look, here's the thing. I know that the Titans are 0-2 this season, but they were 3-14 last season. So the Titans have been doing a lot of losing over the past few years. And it does not appear that there is a lot of light at the end of the tunnel. Cam Ward really is the only person who provides a glimmer of hope for this organization right now. So I appreciate all of your participation. But if I had to do like an informal poll of pro Blake Bedingfield's position, anti Blake Bedingfield's position, I would say it leaned more toward pro, but it was close. I would say like 60-40 based on what I saw in the text line.
They like the roof is on fire. We don't need no water. Let it burn. That's what the people are saying. Like, listen, this is a bad roster. Let it burn. Let's get some picks. Let's get some high picks. Let's set this, team up. Let's set this quarterback up with some real players. So I understand the sentiment. I just think right now, even though Blake Bedingfield has sort of, set the table in the sense of what this team could be possibly undertaking, when right around trade deadline, whether it be, trading one player or making several trades, trying to get some draft capital. So it's coming more than likely, considering what we've seen the last 2 weeks. More than likely, it's going to be headed that way unless some change very quickly, and it starts this week here as they host the Indianapolis Colts, the 2-0 Indianapolis Colts. But I just think it's one of those things where, okay, Blake set the table. Now let's just watch it play out for another 3, 4, 5 weeks, and then we can kind of see where this team is at.
We will continue the conversation about the Tennessee Titans, who are preparing for the Indianapolis Colts on Sunday at Nissan Stadium tomorrow. Mitch Light will join us as well to preview week 4 of college football in the first hour. We hope you have a wonderful evening. We will talk to you tomorrow at 3 o'clock.
Be love on your people. Have a safe, blessed, and wonderful Wednesday. I love you. We love you. Peace.